And it just gone past 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to the results show on your election headquarters. The show is brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. It's also brought to you by CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, together with CIMA and AICPA, together as Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and the German Ozone Medical Center. Alternative therapy, dental, wellness, and beauty. This indeed is your election headquarters. It had been a very quiet day in Ejisu with low voter turnout, as our reporters have been reporting. Allegations of vote buying, as more than 106,000 voters cast their ballots to elect a successor to their late MP, John Kumah, who died a day after Independence Day. The Electoral Commission had dismissed accusations it was working to ensure an MPP victory. Then, one TV report by my colleague Ohiming exposed what appears to be the passing of an envelope, a white envelope that was left on the table where EC officials were standing busy at work. Well, what was in that envelope? MPP MP for Akufo-Addo, also in the Ashanti region, Kingsley Nyako, is the one mentioned in there, and the individual seen in that particular video. The two temporary EC staff involved have been withdrawn from the Ejisu, and they are currently under investigation with immediate effect. We will get underway in the Ejisu pretty shortly. If you are not following and haven't followed since morning, you have missed a small part of the action, but a very crucial one. My name is Evans Mensah, and I'm here with Winston Amwa and Raymond Aqua. We are going to be holding your hand through this period, a very important period indeed, when the results will begin to come in. This is our special results show. You do not want to miss it, because you're going all the way to 8 p.m., where we are very certain the result would have been declared, reactions coming through. This is proving to be a very keenly contested by-election indeed. Just as we predicted, on the screens behind me are 6 contenders, all in the race. The main opposition, NDC, is not in the race, but there are allegations that they are very active there, campaigning for one of the candidates in there. And the name has cropped up. He himself is Akufo-Addo. He's a man who's put the pigeons amongst the horses and is creating a very interesting scenario about to play out here on the results show on your election headquarters. There are 3 independent candidates in this particular race. It is building up to be a night that may be full of surprises. You don't want to change your dial. If you are on the Joy News channel, stay with us. If you're on Joy 99.7 FM, stay in your vehicles as you drive, because everything will unfold right here on your election headquarters. I want to take you live now to Ejisu, because my colleagues are all over the constituency for us. Nana Yaljima is the first to join us. As you can see on the screens there, we have all of them standing by for us with the very latest from the Ejisu constituency. And I want to start with Nana Yaljima. Nana Bwachi Yadom is also with us. We'll also be joined by my colleague Ohiming, whose camera captured what was happening just behind him when Kingsley Nyako, the MP for Akufo-Addo, was seen dropping that envelope. You don't want to go anywhere. We're going to get into that because we have an exclusive interview for you with the Electoral Commission's Director of Electoral Services on the ground. He's been responding to that video that we captured, for which reason they've withdrawn 2 of their officers already, and they are investigating. There's a mention that already the EC may be bringing in the police to look into that also. But, Nana Yaljima, I can see behind you, it looks pretty calm, but as we all know, at 5 p.m. in any elections, this is what you describe as a calm before the storm. Nana?
Yes, Evans, this is St. Anthony's Catholic Church here at Ejisu, and it is the premises that have been chosen to host all the ballot papers that have been cast in the various polling stations. It is the Coalition Center behind me, and as at now, the place has been taken over by police. The area is cordoned off. Hundreds of policemen, armed men and others who are not armed others are not in uniforms. They are all here. They are manning the area. Already, the place is cordoned up. As you can see, there are two different gates to this area. The first one up there or ahead of me is manned by some armed policemen, and all over the Catholic Church, these men are stationed at vantage points to ensure that only persons who are accredited get access into this area. Now, if you move from the first gate, there is another gate just behind me, the second one, and this is where another scrutiny will take place. As you can see, some police personnel have already taken this place up, and they will ensure that whoever is coming in here is accredited. The person is scrutinized. So far, no one has been allowed to enter except EC officials. So the police is here ready to ensure that the collation is peaceful. Far behind me, you can see some of their men seated there, and these are people who are waiting to get to their turn, and when it's their turn, they will leave, come and substitute those who are here manning the area. So they will leave there, come, and these people will go and take a rest. As according to the reports that I have so far, these men will be being substituted gradually to ensure that the police presence is visible and also ready to combat any issues or any mishaps that may arise during the collation of the ballots. The information that I have from some of the polling stations is that election have ended, and very soon the EC will go ahead to start the counting in these polling stations within the Ejisu constituency. Not much is happening here at the collation center, but all that I can say is that the security are ready to ensure that this process is peaceful. Already some EC officials have come through the gates, and they are in there preparing the place for the collation itself. Now, the media and all other interested parties, aside the EC, have not been let in here by the security.
Aljuma, thank you very much. And then Aljuma, they're bringing us up to speed from the collation center. Don't be deceived by what you see behind him. And don't be deceived if you are listening to us on radio and don't hear any noise in the background. This is the scene of the collation. This is where the final results will be declared. We expect that in the next hour, that place will fill up. Everybody will get to that place. It becomes a nerve center. All the polling stations will move their ballot boxes to this particular location where Nana Aljuma is right. And I thank you very much. And already you can see the police officers in their numbers deploy there to ensure that when that time comes, in an hour's time, they are ready to secure the ballot when it gets there. Let me quickly bring in Nana Boakye Yadom, who is also standing by for us in a different part of the constituency, watching all this unfold. Nana, what can you report from where you are? I can see a bit of action there because I believe counting is about to start in that particular polling center.
This is also voting center in the Ejisu constituency. And voting ended not long ago. You can see that this is a very busy place. We are being told that this area is the stronghold of the MPP's candidate, Ofori-Atta. And so just right before the voting ended, we could see a number of NPP executives coming in here to witness the sorting and subsequently the counting itself. Policemen have shut the main door to this particular area to make sure that a lot of people out there do not get access to the inner perimeter. We can see that the EC officials are moving to various areas to make sure that the place is calm for them to begin counting in no time. Sorting, I must say, is currently ongoing. Let me paint a clear picture to you as to what is going on here. A lot of people, supporters of the independent candidate, Fabena Uti-Diomu, and also supporters of the MPP candidate, Fabena Boat, are all here. They are all in to witness what is currently going on here in the Fumesa School Park, which is also a voting center. And so clearly, Evans, is a very busy place as we await the EC to officially begin counting and subsequently declare who will become, who will emerge winner of the Ejisu by-election.
Test update there from the ground. We're going to go to Ohiming pretty shortly, who will also join us with his thoughts where he is in the constituency. The idea is so we don't miss anything, and that's why we are all over in one single constituency of 106,000 registered voters. We just want to make sure that you don't miss anything. Trust me, this is building up to be a day and an evening that promises some surprises. And Winston is joining me now here because we're going to have to dig into the analysis for you. Building up, what we want to do now is to set the stage so that when the results come in, you begin to make sense of the results that you're about to see unfold. On your screen is a shot of the collation center. When the results are about to be declared there, you have to make sense of it, and we're going to be talking to it pretty shortly. Now, what you see on your screen is our live page, which will be updated for you with the results as they come in. For all 6 candidates tonight, we'll update this in real time for you. As you see, they are all at 0 right now. And you can find this also on our social media pages. You can find it also on myjoyonline.com. If you're watching television, it's going to be up on your screen throughout. It's going to move onto a corner of the screen. It's going to stay there. And then it'll begin to change as the results begin to pour in. So you see this in real time. We expect that by the time that the day is closing, this race between number 4 and number 2 will be top of the chart in terms of the competition. Top of the chart in terms of the competition. That's what you see there. And so what we've done for you to make it easy based on our anticipation is to isolate the live feed for you, the live results feed between the 2 front runners, Ediomi and Kwabena Boateng. Ediomi obviously is the reason why we're here. We didn't intend to give this election headquarters treatment to Ejisu. We didn't. Winston, we did not intend to.
No. I mean, until he got into the race, until he decided to be an independent candidate, the NDC had contemplated contesting, and so you knew that it was going to be a walk in the park for the NPP. This is their seat. It's a safe seat. But when you have a 3 times member of parliament from that constituency representing the NPP, give them, one of their best percentages, about 84% of the votes in 2016, and coming back again at the time that, you have the NDC not contesting, you have to ask yourself a question or two. Can he pull a surprise? Now, the post will suggest that this man could pull a surprise because when, the Global Info Analytics did their survey, they indicated that the NPP's Kwabena Boateng was in the lead. They didn't say he was the winning candidate. They said he was the leading candidate with Kwabena Uswe-Duomi actually closely behind. So what this suggests to you is that you actually have an election. We have a contest on our hands today. So you are right if you say that there are 4 pretenders and 2 contenders. I don't know if by the end of the election you actually will have another pretender or will still have contenders. Maybe you would have 2 contenders at the end of it all because results will be close. But based on how the results turn out, we can say there is just 1 contender, really, 1 person in this election, and the rest all being pretenders.
And Raymond, have a bite at this. And we are beginning an evening, I have said, that promises some surprises. Is that overstating it?
No. Well, it depends on the conditions that flow out from there. Already, we have had, and something we've not had in a long time, the Electoral Commission withdrawing staff because there is an attempted bribery.
In the middle of an election.
In the middle of an election.
While the election was happening, people were voting.
I'm asking myself, so who is the presiding officer and ballot issuer in that Fumasua, what they call it, police station, as we speak? Who are the people that are being replaced with? Are they people already known to the people? Because we know what happens. Sometimes they publish the names of the officers prior to the recruitment.
Exactly.
So that you and I can go and point out the people we suspect and raise questions about them. These additional officers, and let's not get it wrong, at every police station, the big man in charge is the presiding officer.
Exactly.
He is the one being pulled out. And the next person there is a ballot issuer. And of course, the name shows it. That gentleman is one going to give you your ballot paper in the first place. So these are very key people. Presiding officer will, at the end of the day, declare the results in the area. But we're saying that those 2 might have been tainted, so they should be taken away from the police station and be replaced with who? electoral officers and not election officials? Is that what we are doing? Are we pulling up, let's say, regional officers to come and replace the election officials that we had on the ground? That's a very interesting development that I did not expect, and it adds up to there's a lot of tension around this election. We cannot dismiss that at all. Since even when the president felt that places like Asin North were serious places, he didn't put in a lot of the words, the gusto, the need to say the things he has said in the last rally. There is a lot of fear because it is justified fear. Imagine Kwabena Owusu-Addo may enter winning this election. It is catastrophic for the MP.
In fact, I have said that we have a scenario that may play out tonight, where by the time it hits 8 p.m., when we close this results show, MPP may be in a minority in Parliament.
A possibility,
well,
really.
That's a possibility.
It's a possibility tonight.
That's a possibility. But, that is something the NPP would never want to see happening. Because, and it's part of the reason the NDC is not going into this contest, is that if you are the NDC and you go into this contest and your performance is poor, it actually reduces or affects your motivation going into 2024. If you are the NPP, of course, look, you can argue these are two NPP men contesting, okay? But one officially is an independent candidate. Now, if he becomes victorious, it means that the NPP as a group, even in its stronghold, has become unpopular. Of course, you can make the argument that, but the current second deputy speaker in Parliament won the election, but that was during a main election. The thing about a by-election is that consistently we have said that a by-election is used to gauge the mood of the people prior to the main election, particularly in 2024. And we said that Asin North gave an indication, even though we also said that how the NPP carried the campaign, even in Asin North, and everything they did to that same person may have played a role. If you go into this election, even for analysts, if the performance of Dumi, if he doesn't win and is able to pull 40% of the vote, it's still an indication that things are not so good for the NPP. The NPP would say it doesn't matter because we won. The most important thing is that you have to win the seat. But of course, if you look at a constituency that consistently you've pulled between 78 to 84%, then we would say, hold on a minute. This means that you're becoming unpopular. You can make all the arguments that, well, this man is known NPP. But when the president goes into a constituency and says that, this man, I don't know whether it's NDC or it's Afafranto.
Yes.
And yes, Akufo-Addo said that.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, when you have the majority leader say that all the things he said he's done, he did it, it was the government that did it.
In fact, the president says that, he claims he did the road in your constituency. Now, I'll show you pretty short. We pulled up the roads data in Ejisu. There's the 21 kilometers stretch of road that has been done in Ejisu since he was appointed a deputy road minister in 2017. And he's been campaigning to tell the people that it's because I was the road minister that I brought to the road. The president says over the weekend that, well, listen, I ultimately approve any road. And that he may have done it as a deputy minister, but if I did not give the approval, ultimately, no road would happen in this constituency.
But we all know, Evans, to be very honest, does the president have the time to approve every road in this country?
Well, every road is done in his name.
It is done.
That's the point he's making to the people.
You see that the roads are done in your name doesn't mean you approved it.
Yes, even the roads that were done as gifts by Kofi Jobs, are they also included in this list?
The president can't say
Are they really included in this list?
This is the problem. There were contractors who did roads as a thank you to Kwabena Owusu-Addo. Look, this is politics, and so people will say a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the polls suggest that the NPP is in the lead. That was somewhere last week. I don't know what the polls will say.
A lot has changed overnight. And gentlemen, there's a lot to go through for you because the most controversial thing that has happened is something that broke here on your election headquarters. We were live on screen reporting from the ground when a video captured Kingsley Nyako, who was having an interaction with two EC officers at the polling station, and he dropped an envelope on the table and left. That really is a controversy at the heart of this. There are a lot of things that have happened, but that has been the headliner. We have an interview, an exclusive interview with Kingsley Nyako himself and the Director of Electoral Services. We're going to play that for you, so stay with us. But as I said at the beginning, we first need to start by helping you make sense of what is about to unfold by 7 leading into 8 p.m. when the results come in. And we've said three things already why this has become a high-stakes primary. One, there is a very real possibility that by the time we close this special results show, the MPP will have a minority in Parliament, and they become the minority. Their designation as a majority will change. There's a real possibility that may happen by close of evening. And that is why, one, it's a high stake. Second, Winston has explained that even if Aduomi loses but closes the gap and gets 40% of the votes, many will say it's an indication, considering how Ejisu, it is the preeminent stronghold in a region of strongholds. And if he gets that figure in these elections, that will prove that NPP is on wobbly ground, and that will demoralize a few people going into the election that we know sometimes in an 8th year, the party in power struggles to get their people to go out and vote in their numbers. So that's another reason why this is proving to be keenly contested. And again, we know that in Ashanti region, we have two precedents that we've been referring to already. And the MPP is very well aware of these. Yesterday, I was speaking to the party's national organizer. They have thought about it and has struck fear in your hearts. We are talking about Fomina, where the current second Deputy Speaker of Parliament went independent. He was a stalwart of the party, went independent. Again, the president went to the constituency, famously campaigned against him. What happened in the national elections? He won. He won, and he's the only reason they can do some semblance of business in Parliament, because they're doing a deal with him, and he's obviously voting for them. That's not all. There is Bekwai. Joe Sowusu also was aggrieved at something. He decided to go independent. Wins as an independent candidate against the MPP's candidate who had been voted for in the primary, and goes to Parliament. He's recalled back into the fold of the MPP. So in the Ashanti region, which is the World Bank of the party, they've seen this before. You have Aduomi, who, now let's go into it. Winston, there are 204 polling stations there. Those are basic numbers. But I want to really isolate the Aduomi factor. The reason why there's a lot of fear now, which is causing this tension that we've seen build up to this. We've already talked about all the 6 candidates. But he has averaged, Winston, in his 3 terms in Parliament, each time he's gone to the poll, since 2008, 2012, 2016, he's averaged 82.22%.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's huge. You see, Evans, this tells you that a lot of people in that constituency love this man. We can do the argument and say, well, he was contesting on the ticket of the NPP. And so, I mean, for instance, in the 2016 election, President Akufo-Addo got more votes than he did. So you can actually look at it and say, oh, okay, in one of the elections, Akufo-Addo got more votes than he did. So you can look at it and say, okay, these are a group of people who may love the NPP. I think the real test is the real test of the popularity of Aduomi is today.
Is today.
Because in the past, even though he outperformed Akufo-Addo, whom he unseated in the 2008 primary, he outperformed him by way of margin of victory. The real test of his popularity is today.
But it's also interesting, Winston, just to point out that when he was being booted out in his last election before being booted out, he had 83.79%.
Exactly.
Which is higher than what John Kuma in his first election got when he was actually brought in as Member of Parliament.
Yes.
If that's anything to go by, one could say that even his last election showed a very high popularity rating.
Most definitely. I mean, he's popular. But while we talk about popularity, we must also talk about the opposition candidates, you know. Huze had contested in 2016. I think he contested again in 2020. So his performance also improved, for instance, in 2020. Okay, so the NDC's candidate also improves in 2020, resulting even in the diminution of the John Kuma's vote. But that's another conversation. The most important thing is that he got those votes. But what I am saying is that at the time, if you compare John Kuma, if you compare Akufo-Addo, and if you compare his votes, you can then say...
So again, let's look at the trend. And this is just, again, Aduomi's performance over the 3 elections.
Yes.
And from 82%, and of course, a lot of you are watching us on Facebook, but also on YouTube, but listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM. So let me go through the numbers for you as we work with our smart wall here. You see Aduomi with 82% the first time he showed up, right? Yeah. And remember, the president was there over the weekend and said, but you came to knock out,
replace
a cabinet minister. At the time when they went to the primaries, and true, the person he replaced was a formidable
Foreign Affairs Minister.
Foreign Affairs Minister.
Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
Akufo-Addo, you know. I mean, at the time, there's a feeling that he was going to win the primary, but he lost. But this is the point.
This is the point.
This is the point I was trying to make. So you see, he's performed better than Akufo-Addo. 63, 78, 78. His first performance is 82.
He's the first MPP candidate in Ejisu to move them into the 80s.
Yes, he is.
First.
That's not in doubt.
First.
But you see, then John Kuma also gets 82.83.
Yeah.
Now, John Kuma, for the first time, performs better than Eduomi for the first time.
When it comes.
When it comes in.
But I also want to circle 83.79.
Yes.
He holds the record in Ejisu when it comes to the candidate that has secured the most votes in percentage terms.
That's not in doubt. That's not in doubt. But the other point also that we'll look at all the factors that could play a role in 2016, for instance. And when we're having the Asin North conversation, I remember the time, not the day of the election, but I mean the time that it was declared vacant on Newsnight, I told you that Asin North at the time was seen by many as part of the wind of change in 2016. So it fell to the NPP. In 2016, as the wind blows, a lot of performances would come up. That notwithstanding, because of his performance from 2012...
Strong performance, for someone who has averaged 82%.
You wouldn't attribute that to the wind of change.
Yeah.
Yes. But of course, in 2016, the whole country, you can still attribute that, the whole country, at the time, even if you look at the NDC's performance, knew that the NDC was...
But here's the thing, Raymond. He made the most of it.
Yes, he
did.
And
increased. Even when he was already in the 80s, he still moved it to 82%.
That's why I'm saying that. His popularity.
Yeah.
Yes.
His popularity will be known today.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but I'm saying...
this was his third election.
Yeah. The data shows he's very strong.
Mostly, after your first election, you start losing, and as it's been shown.
It dropped. It dropped from 82 to 80.
Fed up and tired of you.
Yeah.
You actually end up being somebody who's not fulfilling. And let's look at the timing properly. 2008, he was in the opposition when he went into Parliament 2009.
Yeah.
In 2012, still in the opposition, but still the numbers dropped. They still could not get the very things they wanted from Ejumi as Member of Parliament. But again, I agree that the watershed moment of 2016, where the change was happening, contributed to the higher numbers that people got there because all hands were on deck in that area. From Jabin, Fidasi, look at the numbers across the board.
Galvanized.
Yes. They were all delivering. They were delivering because they needed the numbers in the Ashanti region to actually push an election into a way that everybody wanted. A huge number of vote difference and the numbers that would really send a signal to everybody. So that could be explained that way because it would be strange for a member of parliament who has been there on 2 different occasions to get improving figures going into the next election because people really will think that he has not done much or even will be fed up with him. They start giving you names. If they don't call you Mugabe, they call you all the other fanciful things that the West comes up with when you are going into that election. That is where the difficulty was. And let's not get it wrong. This was also the first time that John Kuma had contested him.
Yeah.
And lost to him in the first place.
And lost to him in the first place.
Evans, this is the other thing. Who is this man?
Let's go there because it's important.
This man, and what has he done? Now, this is a civil engineer. This is someone who's worked with highways.
That's true.
Over the period.
Way before they even came to power.
Yes, over the period, what had been his contribution to the constituency? And so you look at all of these things. Look, and you spoke to him in 2016 in the heat of the
Kaswa
interchange and the pricing controversy. What did he tell you?
Yeah.
This is a man that was seen as the professional.
That's true.
And he spoke professionally.
He spoke professionally.
The party didn't like it then, but...
This is the case, that is the case.
Yeah.
But what happens to those kind of people is that even in opposition, because of how they are and because of the association, and because of the association with the industry in which they are. So, you're a civil engineer, you've been at highways, you've headed some of the...
He has goodwill. He has connections.
He has goodwill. So at every point in time, when you have a man saying, and what is the major problem in a lot of our constituencies?
Roads.
And always get a road.
I want to jump quickly a few slides to that point you're just making there. And I'll come back to these slides where you see his race with John Kuma. But the point you're making is about this.
Yes.
We want to pull out the roads data. And he was appointed as a deputy roads minister in 2017 with Cabo, if everybody remember this. And the data shows that between 2017 and 2021, Ejisu saw 21.4 kilometers of road. He's been campaigning telling them, that's the point you're making, that, listen, it was because of my connections, because of my ministerial position that I brought you the roads. And when I heard the president say what he said, for me, it was a confirmation, rather, that he's been very effective in using his influence and that history that you talk about with road contractors, etc., to bring the roads there. You were making a point with that.
But it was just 26 and 21. 26 is more, May 2021 to December 2022. It means that John Kuma has done better if you compare that to him. But it's also important for us to find out, for instance, when this road data, at what point this one started?
Is it length of completed road
roads? Yes.
Not necessarily starting of them.
Yes,
because
length of completed projects.
Projects.
Yes, so this is the point. Length of completed projects. This is the thing. Length
of completed projects, 2017 to 2022. And those of us listening to us, just a second, let me just help them. Those of us listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, we're showing the graphs on the screen. Always what we do is to try and help you make sense of it, and we can only do that with data. And that's what we're showing. So if you're watching, you're listening, you want to really see, just get on your phone. But if you're in traffic and you're driving, don't do so. Enjoy the listening.
We're
making a point.
Yes, let me list specifically the areas that he said, I did the
focus areas.
Yes.
Okay, list them and I'll do some analysis.
Kwaso town roads, Esiampong town roads. There is also the Sape town roads, Donina town roads, Domiabra town roads, Krapa town roads. I'm skipping the other projects anyway. The Kwamo town roads, Fumesa asphalt overlay, and Fumesa comes to mind because that's where the incident happened anyway.
Yeah, okay.
The incident we are talking about.
I mean, the incident with the alleged bribery.
Yes, that's where it happened actually. Yeah, Abankro to Adesina connecting roads, Tikrom to Antwerp connecting roads, and also there are 6 others that are actually listed within his own. I cannot count the number of members of parliament who can list, and these are not just short stretches. These are not just town roads within a small area. They are linking roads that are very important in the community. So it's not surprising that he claimed that I did these things. Again, if the man who was 2002 to 2008, the Ashanti Regional Highways Director, engineer in charge of that particular area, you would expect he knows every small area that's required of him. Yeah. Indeed, whenever he had put out his achievements, at the very roads he had constructed and all the things he had done, the question people kept asking him is that, why are you extending to other towns within the same area, but not necessarily within the constituency? One of the reasons why people in Jabin, for example, were worried about the performance of the MP who had just been kicked out.
You say Jabin because we used to know it as Ejisu Jabin.
Yes, Jabin at the time.
Connecting.
When he wanted the first time, it was Ejisu
Jabin, yeah.
Brilliant. But one of the reasons people are saying is that when we look at Ejisu and the developments going there, you could attribute it to Ejiomi or even John Kuma more recently. But in the case of Jabin, you can say he's the chairman of the Council of State that's making the impact there because he's the Almighty there and not necessarily the member of parliament. So people felt that the member of parliament was not doing enough. He was the standard for determining MPs who build roads in their area. So this new conversation that, it's the president that did it. If you ask the people on the committee, that committee of roads and highways in parliament, even as a minority member of parliament, he drafted most of the reports because the skills were lacking on the committee.
And anybody came to him, it was a reference point.
Look, Evans, you know statistics. We can actually prepare statistics. Let me just use this football analogy. We can prepare statistics and say that over the last 10 games, this team would have been first or this team would have been last. But that doesn't mean that is the reality on the ground. Length of completed roads between 2017 to 2022. When were they started? Yeah. If we do the argument, if we're to go for when they started, some of it may not even fall under Duomi, as from 2017 to 2021. Some may have happened under the NDC regime.
When he was ranking.
When he was ranking.
But remember, you made a point. He still had influence.
Goodwill.
Yeah.
So these roads that were completed at this point in time, did it start under his tenure? Can he claim it in a country?
That those completed under John Kuma?
Yes, I don't, personally I don't subscribe to this kind of, I completed this, I started this project, so it's my project, that kind of thing we do in this country, that someone says I went for a loan and so it is my project. Even the whole idea of a project is not something I subscribe to. I think that governance is more than saying that I constructed roads.
But does it work with voters?
It does.
Exactly.
It does. I mean, I just had to give you my...
I know, I get it, but that's a fundamental question really on this one.
So this one, we need to ask ourselves a few questions. When did it start? For purposes of the NPP's own analysis and for its own politics, you want to do this. But the people on the ground may actually remember who started it.
That's true.
And actually say, this road started under this person.
And you're right. And you're right. And we're going to go back to the constituency because Nanaya Aljima was on the ground and I tasked him to sort of do a straw poll, just talk to people. And a lot of people came to him telling him that for the roads, it's Oduomi. For the roads, it's Oduomi. And we got a lot of those voices. And I wasn't surprised the president decided to deal with it because if he dealt with it, he would have been briefed that, listen, people are responding to this Oduomi roads question. And you've done ballot box, I've done ballot box. Yeah. When we travel around the country and we get them, roads is always top 2. Yeah. Roads is always top 2. And so the president had to respond to it. Now, it is a reason why tonight is one of those very slippery, tricky nights for the MPP in Ejisu. Because they are facing a candidate. Look, John Owusu was very popular. Very popular. But in his constituency at the time that he won it as an independent, what was it that he could say lay claim? He would have done great things. But roads takes far more effort. It costs a lot more to do. Yeah. And the people see it. It's tangible. They drive on it. They've seen when it was just bare ground to asphalt. And that imagery in people's heads is one that Oduomi is laying claim to. That those other ones, those the two, Joseph Owusu and the former MP, could not lay claim to those sort of things, but they still won in the Ashanti region. Yeah. There is something about the MPP stronghold that when one of their formidable individuals sort of fall out with them and go independent, causes a bit of a stir. But why did this fallout happen? And since we are putting this in context, I want to go back to that slide that I skipped, because that would give us a sense of why this fallout happened. And that fallout happened between himself and the party in the lead up to the 2020 elections, where he came up against John Kuma in that primary. And you see on your screens there, in that particular primary in 2020, leading up to that elections, John Kuma won it by 397 votes. Oduomi won it, lost, of course, by 307 votes. The gap there was 90, but he kept complaining. Yeah. That the voters' roll had been manipulated, was bloated, they had brought him people just so they knock him off. And he was aggrieved. If you listen to John Kuma and his people who followed him at the time, there was this view that in Ejisu, you have 3 terms. There was this unwritten rule, this convention, that you do 3 terms and then you hand over to somebody else. He didn't believe in it. But the party said, you've done 3 terms, it's time to go. And he decided to stand, and so he lost. And he kept filing petitions on petitions, at least. That is what his people told us. That is why, immediately, in 2020, he didn't go independent. He said that many times in this particular campaign. I did not go independent because I wanted to give the party an opportunity to fix and right the wrongs. And he says, when John Kuma died, he felt this was a time to show the party that they've treated me unfairly because they've given them enough time to fix this. Then he jumps into the race. That, at least from his people, is the explanations they've offered as to why he's in the race and that he's doing it out of clean heart, right? But is it really? Were his grievance valid or not? But he's in the race.
I think another element that we mostly ignore in this fight between Oduomi and John Kuma is Chairman Untumi. That's Ashanti regional chairman. You know, Oduomi ended up contesting him in the last regional election. Yeah. He lost, but he wanted to make the point. We all know the relationship between John Kuma and also Chairman Untumi. Yeah. Oduomi has always had problems with how, at the regional level, issues have been resolved by Chairman Untumi. He felt that they were not using the right processes. He also felt that the national leadership were not even listening to the arguments that he was making in ways they were just willing and ready to move on. As if somebody is interested in installing whoever they want on the ground without having to engage the people and understanding the problems. So that had been fundamental to him. He believed, and his main argument, even going into the regional chairmanship election, was that there's a certain level of integrity and standard lost. They need to bring it back. Somebody like him with this reputation is the one that they need to bring back the standards in the Ashanti region. People cannot merely occupy the position without understanding the rules and yet pretending that they are ruling the areas or making adjudications which did not make sense. That is what ended up cases in court. He didn't want to explore that in the beginning. He didn't want to, because there were some issues that people said they were threatening to go to court and all of that. So at the core of that fight had been the belief that John Kuma had to be installed in Ejisu, had to be made member of parliament whether he liked it or not. And he was not really for the issue. In fact, in the first time they did the contest, there was a lot of the, where are you from? Which areas do you claim? The other whole place that John Kuma is from, is it really one of the main towns? Is it big enough to compare to his Bisiase hometown that he has actually claimed? Of course, we know Bisiase is a big place within Ejisu in the first place. So the thinking was that this fight had a third hand, and that third hand was Bernard Ejigbo. And he had played a very key role in the ground and made it possible for John Kuma to come in.
One of the things Raymond doesn't want to say is not how big your town is, but whether you really come from here. That's the politics he doesn't want to get into.
And how does that relate to Jiomi or any other people in the country?
So those who know
that
just the politics, yes, know what we're talking about. That, you know, when in 20...
No, the vote is over, so you can say.
No, I'm saying in 2015, the primaries between Jiomi and John Kuma, it was more like, who free him?
Why free him?
John Kuma, who free him? You know, you know, who free her? You know, that kind of politics. But I mean, the man is passed on now. You don't want to get into that kind of politics now. But this is it. Jiomi would have known. So if you had problems in 2024, why did you not contest? Did the problem still persist? He gives the impression they had not corrected the problem. So, why did you then decide now? I think it's simple. By 2023, 2024, John Kuma had become very popular and very influential in that constituency. There was no way Jiomi was going to contest in the primaries and win. Yeah. He was going to lose. Of course, he was also in control
of massive resources.
Yeah, just look at the party office he built for
and everything. So Jiomi wasn't going to get in there. He wasn't going to be successful with that. So what was he going to do? The only thing was to stay away, and that's why he wanted to be regional chairman. But by end of 2024, when John Kuma passes on, if he looks at all those who are contesting and his influence within the constituency, that becomes the right time. And listen to this carefully.
Politics of opportunism.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen to this carefully. Today, if Owusu Edomi wins the election, where is he going to sit in parliament?
That's a big question.
Can he say he would not join the NPP? He may have to join the NPP.
And don't go there yet, because that is a whole conversation we'll have tonight on the implication of an outcome.
We're waiting for the outcome
parliament.
First.
You're waiting for the outcome first, because that will definitely. And I will take you back to the constituency now, because when we return, there are a few more things we need to clear out. Because Global Info Analytics have done some polling there. We'll talk about that, and then we'll sit down and then get into the bribery video, well, the alleged bribery video, the video that we shot that has been a subject of an investigation by the EC. 2 EC officers have now been withdrawn. Nana Yaojima is joining me right now. He has one of the aspirants with him. And Nana, what can you tell us? Because I can see that polling, counting has begun. In where you are possibly, an outcome is known. Talk to us.
Not long ago, counting was done here at Ejisu LCJHS, and now we have provisional results with us here. Now, what is happening within some of the polling stations that we visited so far is that there is some tension within these areas after the counting started. It looks like both sides, that of Honorable Kwabena Osu-Ediomi and that of the New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Boateng, both sides are very, very calm. They do not know where the election now is going, because as Kwabena Boateng win in some of the polling stations, Ediomi is also winning by some margins within other polling stations here within the Ejisu constituency. Nana Boakye is returning from some of the polling stations. He will be giving us some of the results he has so far. Boakye.
So, Nana, the results that we have here are provisional results, and they are from the Ejisu basic school here where we are currently, and it is from the primary basic school and then the junior high school. From the primary school, Kwabena Osu-Ediomi had 99 votes, and then lawyer Kwabena Boateng had 96 votes. And also from the junior high school, lawyer Kwabena Boateng had 119 votes, and then Kwabena Osu-Ediomi also had 186 votes. And also from the basic school, the primary school, I must say, Kwabena Owusu-Aduonim had 147 votes, and then lawyer Kwabena Boateng had 130 votes. So these are the provisional results from the 3 centers here at the Ejisu MA School, where we can say that from the provisional results, Owusu-Aduonim, the former MP and independent candidate, is pulling some surprises. He has clearly, from the provisional results, won this particular polling center.
Even though Kwabena Owusu-Aduonim has been able to win this particular center, not much of excitement by his supporters within the polling station. Let's go through other results that we have here coming in from Kokobra Forestry PS. Lawyer Kwabena Boateng was able to get 103 votes, as Kwabena Owusu-Aduonim had 63 votes. These are provisional results from Kokobra Forestry. And also at the Chief's Palace, that's polling station B, lawyer Kwabena Boateng was able to get 94 votes against Kwabena Owusu-Aduomim's 92 votes. And also at Assembly Hall B, Kwabena Owusu-Aduomim won that polling station with 107 votes as against 97 votes. Let's go to Kwamo scoreboard. That Kwamo scoreboard. Provisional results indicate that Kwabena Boateng, lawyer, MPP candidate, had 140 votes against Kwabena Owusu-Aduomim's 130 votes. So these results that are trickling in, some of them of the polling station are falling for Kwabena Owusu-Aduomim, as others for MPP's candidate Kwabena Boateng. I have with me Dr. Evans Dia, who was one of the aspirants during the NPP primary, and he's a staunch member of the New Patriotic Party. He's been going through the constituency, he's been going through the polling stations as well, trying to monitor. He was also observing within some of the polling stations. So he joins me. Let's ask, Doc, going through some of the polling stations, what have you come across? Doesn't look promising for the New Patriotic Party.
I think that Ejisu constituency is for the New Patriotic Party. It's been a keen competition, but we'll still win the seat. What is actually happening is that the loss of Dr. John Apontuekuma, going around and trying to call them from their homes to vote, you could actually see that most of them were still saddened by his demise, and for that reason, a number of them were not coming out to vote. And that is because of the loss of Dr. John Apontuekuma. I personally moved from house to house and places to talk to them to vote. For example, I went to a Sienimpon Onye, where in the morning we had about 20-30% turnout, but later on people came in their numbers, 300, 400, and they came to vote. And I'm sure that it will reflect in the numbers.
So you think that the demise of Dr. John Apontuekuma caused some apathy within the constituents?
Yes, it caused some apathy, but I would talk in the sense of bereavement, where people were sad. People still couldn't believe that we're actually voting at this time when he's yet to be buried. We had to talk to them because some of them were still grieving, and you could see that it had affected quite a number of them. So I personally believe that it affected them, but we spoke to them and they all came to vote finally.
Now, some results have been trickling in from the polling stations. You think that NPP can still retain the seat?
The good thing is that the independent candidate was a formidable candidate. So you expect that somebody who has been in the system and he was an MP for 12 years is definitely quite popular. So the key thing is that he's going to win some places, but most of the places will be won by the New Patriotic Party. So if you look at the comparison with the results that are coming in now, you see that where he won with a bit of a close margin. But where Lawyer Boateng, the MPP, is winning, they are winning with quite a number, a huge margin. And this tells us that eventually we'll win the elections.
You have anything from the NPP's coalition center yet?
Yes, we actually have some numbers trickling in now. And the numbers that I'm seeing as I'm talking to you is really solid. Almost everything that is happening is showing that we are winning. Bunre currently is showing that we are winning. Adako Jache is showing that we are winning. If you look at what is also happening at Onye, I came from there, they collated in front, we are winning. And there are some places that our numbers are very high. So I will tell everybody listening and watching us, the MPP has definitely won this election. It was a keen one, but I'm very sure we've won it. So please calm down. We will be the victors at the end. Congratulations.
All right. NPP very optimistic of winning this particular election. if NPP should win Bonre Township, I will be very surprised, because it was one of the very hostile environments for the NPP during the campaign period. Videos circulated showing that when you go to Bonre, the NPP people who were dispatched to Bonre to campaign were not getting a calm or friendly environment to campaign. They were being booed all over Bonre. So it will be very, very surprising if the NPP should win Bonre. I have with me Nana Boakye-Yadom, who is bringing in other results from these areas.
So Nana, we have some provisional results from Ejisu Onwe. Ejisu Onwe is a stronghold of lawyer Kwabena Boateng, the NPP's candidate. Lawyer Kwabena Boateng had 231 votes at Ejisu Onwe, and Owusu Aduonim had 32 votes. Surprisingly, the vote is actually turning out to go in favor of lawyer Kwabena Boateng. Pentecost Church for Mesa, Kwabena Boateng had 169, Aduomi 77, and Dapa also had one rejected ballot. Also Pentecost Church as well, Pentecost Church 2, lawyer Kwabena Boateng with 169 again, and then Aduomi with 1 vote. Aduomi also at the Chief's Palace, there's a polling station over there with 178 votes, and lawyer Kwabena Boateng with 207 votes. And last would be the RCKG for Ejisu. That is where lawyer Kwabena Boateng had 96 votes, Aduomi with 99 votes. Nana, the results that we have clearly shows that the thing is actually turning in favor of the NPP's candidate, lawyer Kwabena Boateng.
It's early days yet, still some more communities to go. But what we can say is that none of the two candidates, supporters of none of the two candidates, is able to go out and jubilate, because it's still early days yet. The results trickling in is not showing any concrete evidence that either Kwabena Boateng or lawyer or Owusu Aduomi is winning this race yet. We have with me one of the NPP observers here. Sir, welcome.
I heard you saying that none of them has not been jubilated.
Yes, because I'm not seeing any jubilations yet.
We have won the election.
Where? I haven't seen it.
We've seen the election. We have won the election. In fact, where we are thinking that the results will even put that into a vibrating. That is the Zongo communities. From the Zongo community, and if you look at the difference, the margin, it tells you that where we are getting there is even bigger than this one. So we have won the election. This election, I don't know why people keep on saying that it's a threat to MPP. It's our seat. And we are taking it, we are jubilating. It's because you are here, yeah, you are right. If you go to the other side, you see that in Crown Chrome or what, as you are going to Drabe, you see the way people are jubilating. We have won the election. The margin is, if you go to Zongo, some places 67, 61, some places 70, 61 with 71. You know the difference, the margin is not big. At compare 190 to 60. You understand? So we have won the election. Our supporters are jubilating. And I told you in the morning that we win this election. This is our seat. So, but let me use this opportunity to thank the medias. You have done a wonderful job. And the government of Ghana appreciates the medias, and the Ghanaians appreciate what you guys.
So that is happening here within the Ejisu constituency. So we'll continue to go into some of the polling stations and get some of the provisional results for you.
There's that there, Danaya Aljuma, on the ground for us in Ejisu there, giving us a sense of what is happening there on the ground. The results are beginning to trickle in. We're waiting for it to go to the collation center, and then we get a sense of what indeed will be happening there. And so you want to stay with us. But indeed, we were on this slide here. We're talking about the Global Info Analytics poll that they've done, telling us that this is going to be close, with Aduomi coming in at 47.50 and Kwabena Boateng coming in at 50.60. But then they are undecided. But the thing, though, that we haven't talked about is NDC. NDC is not in the race. But they had 14,000 votes, I believe, in the last elections, in terms of those who voted for them. And when they polled those who voted for them, 92% of the NDC voters said they will vote for Aduomi.
And that's to be expected. But the question is, can the 92% of them who say they will vote for Aduomi be able to let him win if he doesn't pull anything from the NPP? No, he needs to pull from the NPP.
No.
And this is the other point also. Will the NDC supporters who say if they're going to vote, and I'm sure the question, if you're going to vote, will you vote? Whom will you vote for, Aduomi or Kwabena Boateng? But the question is, will they vote? And that's the problem with some of these things, okay? So what will be the incentive for the NDC to go and vote in this particular election? Because the NDC is not campaigning there. So if they feel like, then they would go out there to go and vote. So really, this is a contest within the NPP support base. You'd have some of the NDC supporters, okay, going to vote for Aduomi. Others may also, majority of them going to vote for Aduomi, and others will also go and vote for Kwabena Boateng. But really, Aduomi's success will be dependent on his ability to pull more votes from the NPP base.
Yeah, and that, by the way, is a key thing. The role that the NDC is playing in the constituency, although they aren't there, is very important. But of course, if you're an MPP, NDC person, it's in your interest, right?
I'll use the Tamale Central election of 2006 to make a point. At the time when Professor Wayuseni decided to cross carpet in Parliament, it meant that the seat had to be declared vacant. The NPP did not contest that seat. Professor Wayuseni contested as an independent candidate. Now, the NPP, went into that election hoping to support Professor Wayuseni to pull votes from the NDC and then win the election. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
So we'll see where the NDC voters in the constituency will vote tonight. Obviously, the NDC has been campaigning there somehow on the ground quietly. And of course, if you can get your members to vote for Aduomi, who can then cause your principal enemies in the elections.
Why not?
Of course, you do. Politics is all about opportunism. We've already dealt with this. And we've talked about the Akufo-Addo's campaign on the ground with the roads. Aduomi himself has responded to those claims already on it. But there's something else that we need to highlight quickly before we sit, which is the precedent that we've been referring to. Yesterday when I spoke to, on your screens, by the way, is Joe Owusu, who in 2008 himself complained about unfair treatment by the party, MPP, and therefore went independent. As we know, the outcome was that he won. He's currently the first deputy speaker in Parliament. After he had won as an independent, he was brought back into the fold. And so when you hear people say, well, once you go independent, you forfeit your membership,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't really transpire.
It depends on who you are.
It depends on who you are.
But the evidence is that these two, in fact, let me add another constituency, Bosomhim
Okay.
In 2008, Ofori-Atta, he was member of Parliament, he lost his primaries. And he said when he was going on a thank you tour, the chief said, Saimbra. And he decides to go again. He won in 2008 as an independent candidate. Unfortunately for him, he contested the primaries on the ticket of the NPP and lost in 2012. He went back as an independent candidate and he lost. But in 2008, he also won as an independent candidate, still in the Ashanti region.
So that clearly is an issue for the MPP. Yesterday, the national organizer told me they thought about this. They know this precedent there. And the one you just mentioned in addition to that. So 3 instances. Aduomi is the 4th instance in the Ashanti region that could come back to bite them, right? And that is possibly why you've seen them deploy all the big guns. They are not taking this for granted. Ordinarily, this should have been a walk in the park. The 3 of us should be home, sipping on some juice, taking your nap, preparing for tomorrow's morning show. But we're here because it's an Aduomi factor. And because we also know that history in politics is very, very important. And so, because of these two, you cannot take your eye off tonight's ball. But we'll wait for the results to come in. And as we go on. And you look at the performance of the Joe Owusu, for example, at a time when he jumped in, and you know this, a good friend of yours, 76.7%.
Yeah. He won. I mean,
he won it.
Look, in 2008, that was Ejisu By-Election. Yeah. At the time, he was a deputy minister, and he had lost the primary. He felt the primary were unfair. Then he goes independent, sweeps it.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, it was like the whole community voted for him. In 2012, he improves.
Yeah, significantly. Keeps on improving. Of course, he's dropped. And that's just a man who knows when to bow out.
Oh, yes. I mean, by this time, he knew his time was up.
Yes, and he's left the scene now.
He's gone.
So those are the numbers for you. We're just bringing this up to say that there's a similarity there between what happened in the Joe Owusu case and what has happened in the Aduomi case. And that is why we are bringing this up, to show you history is important when you're analyzing politics, because especially when you're looking at a party stronghold, the changes there can affect your outcome. And then you also look at the story of his election outcome, focus on that Bekwai constituency. If you look at the IK Poku, and that's
Poku Edu
you mentioned there, he beat him. This is It
was an incumbent member of parliament.
It destroyed him.
Yeah.
In the elections there, 77%, that's against 18%. And then you go to the story of the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He comes in
2016,
72%. And this there is an interesting one, is it not?
Yes, as an independent candidate, he beats the NPP's candidates.
Yeah.
And this man had actually complained about the album for the primaries.
In fact, same as Adiomi.
The
same for the album for the primaries.
The people who are on the... In fact, he complained first about the election of the police station executives.
Yeah.
He felt that there was something fundamentally wrong with the process, like Adiomi also did previously. But, I mean, they went up the system, it was largely ignored. And you can draw the lines here. The same comments that were made about the Formina man, the second deputy speaker, similar comments have been made about Adiomi.
Yeah.
The comments about what? He can leave the party. He's nobody without the party. If he claims he has done something in this constituency, he did it all because he was our MP or because he did it because we gave him money to do so. Then even the likes of the executive president of the republic who went there to say, let me tell you, I cannot work with people who are not actually members of my party. This gentleman is not part of the party. You can't vote for him. It all did not work. It is what is also heightening it is what's scaring the MPP.
Yep,
it is what's actually making the MPP feel that if you do not take care and anything else happening, we don't have a second deputy speaker position to offer Adiomi anyway. We're a couple of months to a main election.
Give him a ministerial position. Make him the roads minister.
This dress rehearsal, it will haunt us for the next few months. We cannot do much about it. What can we do to make sure that it doesn't happen at all? And in the Formina case, at least they were transitioning, so they needed in Parliament. Now the president is there saying that I have got some business to do in Parliament. Please make me maintain my majority in that Parliament. Slim majority, so that I can proceed and do the things I want to do for the people, including you in this Ashanti region. The things you've been telling me about, I need to do all. And I have to do all because really, if I don't have the majority, they will not make it happen.
Yeah.
So please vote for me.
And another thing that he wanted by 48.5%.
Yeah, because he had to beat the MPP and NDC.
First past the post.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Important thing.
He just need one extra vote to win.
Unlike the France system where you have to go into a runoff.
Yes.
This is not the same case.
Yes. And that for me is that for the MPP is the reason why they are not really taking anything for granted in Ejisu tonight. And of course, and look at him beating the MPP's candidate. Yeah. The man whose hand Nanado went to Formina constituency and held up and said, vote for him. Philip. Exactly, Philip held his hand up there, telling them that Esiama is nobody, though he's gone. And the emphasis at the time was that it's the party that makes you.
That's true.
And that if you stand as an independent candidate in the constituency without the MPP blue, red, and white behind you, the people wouldn't vote for you. They told that story about Esiama, and he showed them that not necessarily.
I mean, yes. You see, the thing is that...
And they said that about Adiomi too.
It's not always the party that would make you. It's not always the case. Now, the party plays a very important role. But we've seen it happening even in the Volta region. Victor Beho beats current leader Clenso in the Anglon constituency. We saw it happening in Nkoko, where Seth Ejeba Shaba went in there and beat Okrechi. I mean, so as an independent candidate, there are other constituencies that you can talk about. Rashid Bawa did it when he was with the NDC at the time in the Akan constituency. He won it. It's not always the case that a party is the one that will give you victory. There are times that there are people who are unhappy within the party setting because the party may not have done a few things right. And if the party doesn't do the things right, and one of the reasons why the NPP actually expanded the electoral college at the time, because in the past when it was only constituency chairmen or chairpersons who were voting, polling station chairpersons who were voting. So if you come from so this place has 206 polling stations. What it would mean is that you have 206 people with the constituency executives going to vote, just at about 220 people coming to decide. So at that point in time, all you could do was to gather some money. And for instance, if the incumbent member of parliament had enough money and had the support of the executives, including the regional executives, there's a bit of bassing, there's a bit of camping. You come in there and you lose the election. So people took that and said, if you do this to me, I'm not going to go ahead and show you. But in the case of Esiama Mwakung, this was, he said, you are not doing things right. The party would not listen to him. He says, I am not going to contest. The party felt, you can do whatever you want to do. The president says, I can't work with you. Samo Twamamia, Montoma, Philip, Ofori-Atta. That didn't happen. This man gets to win. And this man became that person that the NPP needed the most
in Parliament.
And
if Udomi wins tonight, he will even be needed more.
If he wins tonight, in his own interest, he will go and join the NPP.
He will.
Otherwise, if he goes into the main election, not on the ticket of the NPP,
they'll punish
he may
him.
lose.
And now I want to quickly give you a live update as far as the results are concerned, provisional results coming in. Remember that we're going to be updating this over the evening. You see on your screens there, 12 out of the 204 polling stations in right now here on your election headquarters. And you see there on your screens, Kwabena Boateng, the NPP's candidate, is 57.69%. 57.69%. And you have Owusu Oduomi on your screens there with 42.31%. And these are provisional results. At the time when we get into the collation center and we get the final declared results, this will change to that actual result that the EC will be declaring and certifying for us. But that on your screen there is what we have for you by way of an update on our live election results feed, that dashboard that you can also access on our many social media platforms, just give you a sense of what is happening in Ejisu tonight. Now, I want to now turn attention, again, as we wait for more of the results to come in, to the big story of the day. Big story that broke here on your election headquarters. I want to take you to Ejisu again. Now, I'm going to show you that video. Many of you are now driving home and may not have seen the video. It's all over. Just check our pages on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You will have found that video of my colleague, Ohemi Teria, who was reporting live to us, and then the camera captured something in the background of a member of parliament dropping an envelope on a table, presumably for 2 EC officers. What was in the envelope, we don't know, but the EC has opened investigations. Watch this video.
Will have the opportunity to work, and that is what is motivating her to take part in the election. So I'll say that the election has been peaceful in Ejisu. So from the Pentecost, a polling station here in Fumeswa, one of the densely populated areas in the Ejisu constituency, we are moving to other places to monitor the elections and bring you update as far as the Ejisu by-election is concerned. Don't forget that over 100,000 electors are expected to cast their ballot today, and the EC expect nothing less than 50% in today's election, being the turnout for today's election. So coincidentally, today is also a market day in Ejisu. So the EC hopes that many of the market women who are in the market will turn up later.
And that there is that video, very controversial video indeed. And we have an interview exclusively with Kingsley Nyako. I'll bring that to you pretty shortly. But the EC shortly after this went viral. The video you just seen there. And if you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, you can find this across my Joy Online, across our Joy News pages on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Shortly after this video went viral, the EC issued a statement announcing that they have immediately withdrawn those 2 officers you saw in the shot there. And this will continue rolling so you get a sense of what I'm saying. Withdrawn them and have started investigations, right? And you see in your shot those 2 officers, one a gentleman, another a lady, and they interacted with Kingsley Nyako, who was followed closely by, I believe, an aide. Kingsley goes to them and has a conversation with them. Remember that he's a member of parliament himself. He's talking to them. We don't know what he's saying. He's throwing his 2 hands about. It seemed like a very cordial conversation. The gentleman, the EC officer, the male officer, appears to want to go, but Kingsley calls him back in. It talks to them, and the conversation all is proceeding. We don't know what they are talking about, obviously. All this time, my colleague, Ohemi Teria, is talking. Then Kingsley puts his hand in his pocket, his back pocket, and you can see the circling there. He picks the envelope. It looks pretty fat envelope. I don't know what is in that envelope, and drops it on the table. And then he stands for a while, looks around, and then disappears. That is the subject of an EC investigation tonight. We also then spoke exclusively to the Electoral Commission's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kwaku, who was on the ground. We tracked him down because we really want to understand, beyond just withdrawing them, what else has happened. He then told us that they may be bringing in the police at some point also. Listen.
It's rather unfortunate that the incident happened few minutes after you had left this polling station, because I was there with you. How do you feel that a polling station you visited in not less than 5 minutes, an incident of this nature was recorded there?
As we are saying, I didn't witness what transpired. So somebody just sent the video to me. So in the video, you will see that somebody pulled a white something, whether it is an envelope, whether it is a handkerchief, whether it's a paper, it is not clear to that. And it was, I think the attempt was to give it to the officer, but the officer did not pick. Then it was put on the table. So that's what we want to know, what has happened. So for the meantime, because of the election going on, if you want to do a lot of investigation, we even disorganize their voting. So we've asked them you could see two officers were closer to the person who gave the passage, whatever it is. So we have asked them to stay aside for us to finish with the election. Then when we finish with the election, then we'll go into the issue and see what was it. Was it envelope? If it is an envelope, what was the content? What is it meant for? Whatever, if it is handkerchief, what is it meant for? If it is ordinary paper, what is it meant for? So we will get to know the details of whatever the content or the parcel is and the purpose of the parcel. Then based on that, we'll take the next action.
I know EC officials have visited this said polling station. What has been your initial understanding of events? Was it an envelope? Was it a handkerchief? Was it an ordinary paper that the officials were reluctant in picking or accepting from this man?
I'm here to talk to those who went, but my understanding is that they went there just to ask them to stand aside for us to finish with the election. So later we'll get to know the details of it.
Then what then happens to the electorates? Because we know these two officials were working. They were busy.
We replaced them with different set of people to do the work. We had a standby, so those people have moved in to take charge of the work. So the voting, we didn't want to create any scene there or to create any tension over there. So they have been asked to stand aside whilst we continue with the work. When we finish, we'll do the next investigation and take the next action that should be taken.
This is early days yet, but people are speculating that this could affect the credibility of today's exercise. As a director of elections for EC, do you see this having an impact or negative impact on today's exercise?
If you watch the video, you captured it. If you look at it critically, the officers refused even to receive whatever was being offered to them. So I said, I don't know how this one will affect the integrity of the election. Is it because of that they are going to increase somebody's vote or deny somebody from the chance of voting? All these things will be avoided. That's why we ask them to stand aside. So to us, it doesn't have any effect on the integrity of the election.
The belief is that maybe, I'm not speculating, that probably it was money that was exchanged hands. But yes, but if for instance it comes out to be money, and people will assume that maybe there are many other officials who have been compromised, who are, yes, I'm speculating. So you are saying that there's no way this could affect the credibility of the election, but people assume that if, for instance, it was money that was being exchanged, it's likely to affect the credibility because...
If it is even money, and it happened at that particular center, and as I said, if you watch the video very well, the people, they were not ready to receive whatever the parcel was. So it was dropped on the table, right? So for now, we shouldn't crucify them till we do the investigation and get to the root of it. Because clearly, if you watch, you captured it, you have a look at it. The parcel was being given to them, and the people were not ready to take it. So it was dropped on the table. When it was dropped on the table, who took it? Now, we don't know. Whether they might even went back to pick it, then because that portion did not appear in the camera. So let's wait and do the investigation, and we'll see what we do.
You seem to feel so proud about these officers for not accepting, like not taking it directly from the man. Is it your position?
For now, don't draw conclusions. In the video, they refuse to receive it, right? But what happens after you have left, I wouldn't know. That's what I'm saying. So the investigation will show whether, as they refuse to receive it, they didn't take it and the man took it back. I wouldn't know, right? If they went back and took it too, then there's also its one implication. So let's wait. We shouldn't crucify anybody. Let's get to the root of it. Once we have done the investigation, then we'll know what was it. Did they take it or the giver took it back? All these things will come up. Then based on that, we'll draw our conclusions and take the necessary primitive measures if need be.
How long will these investigations take?
We are during the election. We'll finish today and we'll go there. If we have to even give it to the police to investigate, they will do that. So the commission will take the necessary step to clear the system.
Okay, so that there is the Director of Electoral Services. Gentlemen, very quick thoughts on this, because I want to bring in Martin Kpebu on what should happen now. Raymond, Winston first.
So is it the EC that is going to investigate its people? Election crimes are supposed to be investigated by the police. Now, these people that they are alleged to have taken something. We don't know what's in it. But they've been asked to go home. So if they go home, are they now going to search their homes in search of that envelope to know what was contained in that envelope?
They should have been in possession of this.
They should have been handed over to the police.
This is a critical piece of evidence.
There's a policeman at the polling station. Immediately they saw that they should have handed these persons to the police. Then investigations will begin, because we don't know the content of the envelope. We're speculating now that it could be money. So what if it's not money? If it's money,
offering justification for their conduct by saying they didn't touch it.
They didn't touch it.
All of these are determinations that will be made by a proper investigation.
Exactly. Yeah.
You are saying there will be investigations, and before the investigation, you are narrating incidents in a way that seek me, to my mind, to even prejudice the content of the investigation in the first place. In any case, who at the Electoral Commission is doing the investigation today? Are they doing it in Ejisu or they are doing it in Accra? I mean, these are very legitimate questions that should be asked immediately. And I am in support of what Winston is saying. The management of it is very poor. You cannot say that the people have been relieved of the position. Wherever they go, we are now being investigated.
So you're saying that the first thing they should have done, hand them over to the police?
Yes, so that at least the police takes possession of the piece of evidence that is being used as the main incriminating one.
But here's the thing, though. I get that. But what about the police? They've seen this. They've watched this.
Which I would have expected. At least, first, there's a policeman on the ground. Two, there is also a team that will be monitoring this, because most by-elections, you have a deployment higher than the other one. The expectation is that they would have followed up and also been investigating this. But we know how we treat elements like treating bribery and other things in elections. We don't take them that serious. The last time we had this conversation, you recall, it was about the MPP's elections where the special prosecutors have taken over. There were policemen on the ground. They watched on when the incident happened. Did you see any of the people being arrested immediately? It was later on that the special prosecutor had to issue a wanted list. Go after these people. But there were security officers on the ground. I don't know whether they've been told that all that they have to do is protect ballot box. But the business of the security is to ensure that no law is broken on the ground.
The integrity of the poll is actually what is at stake there.
Yes.
And this one can actually, at the end of the day, depending on the outcome of this, could become
a
basis to challenge the entire results.
People should not dismiss the fact. A presiding officer is the one who will, at the end of the day, determine who won at the police station. He will fill that form. Beginning of every poll, he's the one who fills the form. Beginning of poll, then he determines that, this number of ballots we have. All people are signed and we move on to it. This is the man that is being accused on the ground. Secondly, is the ballot issuer.
Yes.
And that's how important that position is. So two key people in an election are being purportedly compromised. There's video suggesting that all that we are hearing is that, we'll do investigation.
Again,
if there's the need, can you believe that?
Again, what was
if there's the need, then the EC has turned himself into determined prima facie. Really?
Exactly. And Kingsley Nyako himself,
a professor of educational psychology.
What role was he going to play at the polling station?
No, but first of all, we don't know the contents of that.
No, we don't know. But first of all,
we don't know.
That is why it would have been determined right away by a legitimate state institution.
They should have handed over to the police immediately. But you ask yourself the question, if this election, was in one of the swing constituencies.
Imagine.
And you had the NDC contesting.
Imagine the kind of uproar this would make.
This would have been bloody. Stay with me. I want to bring in a lawyer into the conversation just to get a perspective of what should happen and what should have happened now that we've seen the video. Martin Kpebu joins us right now. Martin, I'm going to proceed on the assumption that you've watched this video. If you have, give me your reaction to it.
Well, I'm very disappointed Evans, to say the least, is despicable. That notwithstanding all the conversations we've had in the last few months, specifically, you remember there's a DC currently in court because of election-related corruption, Cecilia Dapa's case, where she's had millions of cedis and dollars that she cannot explain or account for. And yet this MP would seek to influence electoral officers. So it's quite disappointing, extremely. And so I would urge the EC to report the case to the OSP. I say OSP because what we see in the video is the envelope, which I understand he has admitted contains money. And so we are looking in the direction of election corruption. And once it's corruption, then it means that it's the OSP that has to go into the matter, not the police.
And give me a comment on what the EC has done so far. They issued a statement saying they've withdrawn the two, but they're investigating. We just heard from the Director of Electoral Services says, well, if it becomes necessary, in essence, they'll bring in the police. Should the police be... what do you make of that approach?
No, that is wrong. That is wrong. Don't forget, Sribo Kweku is not an expert on crime. And so we shouldn't take his word as the gospel, or let's say as the best. No, he's an elections expert, but not an expert on governance and crime. Look, that envelope we saw, it's embarrassing Ghana. It's embarrassing that this thing is going to go around the whole world. And so if this thing doesn't get punished, we are going to suffer, democracy-wise, good governance-wise. We will suffer. So we need to hold Mr. Nyako accountable. EC should send their report to the OSP. Alternatively, OSP also, they monitor the airwaves. So I'm sure by now they've heard. So we are calling upon Mr. Kissie Jabin to step in. Please, we can't, Dr. Sribo can't say that if they find it necessary. Don't forget, this is an EC that in recent times has been hiding other cases of crime. You remember the DVD machines. But for the intelligence gathered by NDC, they intended to hide the missing DVDs, etc. And then also using the story Franklin Kujo, Imani, they've done. The DVDs that they sold out, over 1,000 of them, without informing us. So the EC currently is a crime scene. The EC is a crime scene. So Dr. Kweku cannot be heard to say those things he said. He cannot be heard to say so. Because he is shown in recent times that, look, he's not up to scratch when it comes to good governance. In actual fact, the whole of the EC setup, they are quite, what do you call it? They are a retrogression of our democracy. So we will beg the OSP to step in.
And again, it's been a few hours since this video was captured by our cameras. Surprised that we haven't heard anything from the police. Surprised that the OSP hasn't stepped in yet, considering the gravity of what we are talking about here. We've said that if this election was happening in a swing constituency and the NDC was involved, this could have catastrophic consequences for our democracy and for our peace and security. And yet we haven't seen any movement at all from the state agencies actually clothed with the authority to investigate and prosecute such alleged crimes.
Well, Evans, to be honest, I mean, from my experience, I think OSP will step in. Yeah, Mr. Kissie Jabin, the gentleman that I know. Of course, I've had my own differences with him about the way he purportedly let Ejisu By-Election off, the influence peddling. I am preparing to sue Jabin in court. I'll take him on. That's a different matter. But the Ejisu By-Election case aside, generally, Kissie Jabin is, what do you call it? He's proactive. So I expect that he will step in. For the police, I'm not surprised. Because Evans, as we speak now, look, Engineer Kenashibe and I, and then Kwame Sapoensiedu and Edem Senanu, we reported Chairman Wuntmi to the police over a year and a half ago about the Galamsey in the Kano Nimiri Forest, a case in which Abu Jinapo, Lands and Forestry Minister, came out to say Chairman Wuntmi, Akunta Mining, had no license to enter the forest. Yet DCOP Faustina and Kofi has not yet sent this case to court. This is the same case in which Martinez, CEO of the Minerals Commission, and these are appointees of Akufo-Addo, also came out to say the same thing, yet Ando Kofi hasn't seen it right to take the case to court. So for police, I'm not surprised. You know, the IG himself has lost a lot of confidence because of the leak tape. So these things happen. So for police, I'm not surprised. But I believe with Kisie Jabin, in the coming hours, they will be stepping in. Okay. Because this is one clear case that we need to deal with, to send a signal, the right signal to people that this election, vote buying, etc. must stop. Nobody builds a nation like this.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's lawyer Martin Kpebu there giving us his thoughts on this particular incident. I'm going to take a break. When I return, we're going to be hearing from Adiomi's people. Adiomi himself spoke to us. We'll hear from him on this matter. We'll hear from his people what they plan to do about this incident. We'll hear from the MPP too as we begin to get close to knowing the outcome of today's poll in Ejisu at the Collation Center. We'll also hear from the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. They'll also join us with your thoughts on this particular matter. But ultimately here tonight on your results show on your election headquarters, we will be waiting for the outcome from Ejisu, where the elections is currently happening. We've been bringing you this special coverage here on your election headquarters. And as you know, we are staying with you until we get the outcome there. And that outcome, we expect to come in before 8. And so we're going to be with you till that. We'll get you the reactions also all here on your election headquarters. If you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, stay with us. If you are on many social media platforms, stay with us also, because your election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. It's also brought to you by CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICPA, and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and also the German Ozone Medical Center, alternative therapy, dental wellness, and beauty. We'll take a quick break here on your election headquarters. We're back with more from Ejisu. Stay with us because the results will be declared here on the election headquarters right after this break. And thank you very much for staying with us here on your election headquarters. Election headquarters is always brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. It's also brought to you by CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and AICPA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants and the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty. I want to take you to Ejisu right now, where my colleague, Ohemin Teria, spoke to Kingsley Nyako, the MP in question, who was seen in that video dropping an envelope on the table where two EC officers were working. As a result of that, those two EC officers have been withdrawn and investigation have already commenced into the actions. This is what Kingsley Nyako told Ohemin Teria in reaction to that video.
Influence them in that public space. If I were to influence them, do you think that I would do it in that public space?
No, the manner in which it was.
No, I'm saying that if I wanted to influence them, do you think that I would have done that in the public space?
So what was it?
That's what I'm saying, that when I'm done, I will talk about. But what I want to put on record is that I've not bribed anybody, I've not influenced anybody to vote or to do anything untoward for my candidate. I've not done that.
The IGP has been petitioning to arrest you. Are you aware of
no problems about that. I don't have any problems about that. I'm a citizen, and if people think that I've done something untoward, it is their own, their right to do so. But I'm saying that I can't influence the UC officials who are trained, who are honest, who are disciplined to do anything untoward. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And I cannot do that in the public space. I cannot do that. No, that's what I say about it.
So, but do you feel bad with the spin on it? Because it's been circled and circulated everywhere.
I know that I've not influenced anybody. I've not influenced the process. I don't feel bad because I know I've done nothing wrong. Okay? Yeah. I know it's politics. People are going to spin. You know, we've been in this political game all this while. And those who are spinning, I don't begrudge them. That is politics. That is it. But me, Kingsley Nyako, I'm putting on record that I have not done anything, whether overtly or covertly, to influence the process. My candidates will win this election fair and square. Let me ask you this question. The polling agents, six candidates with their agents, isn't it? Yeah. So if I had done something bad to influence the process, don't you think that they would have raised an issue there? Your reporter was here. Ask him if anybody raised anything against me when I even put the document to the person. They will raise an issue. So people say somewhere and they cry wolf. I mean, that is unfair, but it's a game. I accept I'm a politician. And I respect Ghanaians. It was a document. No, I'm saying that I respect Ghanaians, and people said outside they didn't know what that, and they sit down and conclude and say that I'm trying to, I'm beyond that. I cannot do that, honestly.
But, Honorable, before you take a leave of us, personally, I'm being castigated for being a very bad person. As a member of parliament, you are aware of what happened here. Can you take me through what actually happened here? Because I'm being castigated left, right, center.
Like you have done what? That you've done what?
Because he was the one going on live, on air with whatever content. And that is how come.
Me, I don't know. Everything happens for a purpose. I don't know your mind. I don't know the reason why this is out. And I said that I don't think you've done anything wrong to affect my person. If you've done anything wrong, your judgment, you know about it. But what I know is that I came around to observe the process. Then I even got an interview with you. Later, some people sent me this, and I look at it and I say, what is it? I've been a teacher for a long time. Ghanaians know that I'm disciplined. Me. I can never do anything to undermine the process. Okay? You've been covering politics for a very long time. If I were to influence the process negatively or to my kindest favor, honestly, sincerely, it is the form that I'm going to do that.
So do you feel bad that the officers have been relieved of their duty? Currently, the officers
are... How do you feel about this whole process?
I think they are victims of circumstances, and I think that I mean, I don't know, but they've done anything wrong. This is what I'll say about that. But I will address this issue properly. Just that you forced me to put some words across.
What was in the envelope?
Yes, that is a question many people are asking, whether it was an envelope, it was a handkerchief, or anything of it.
I'm saying that I've done nothing to influence the process. That's it. So if the IGP is being petitioned to invite me, I'm ready for him, and I will. When we get there, I know what I'm going to talk about. But no process has been undermined. Nothing untoward has been done. People are speculating, isn't it? Because they think that this was it. But you sit in your home and you're able to determine what has been, delivered or something. I mean, that is so wrong. I mean, you don't make conclusions on that. You need to do proper interrogation. Ask yourself question that this whole thing, was it able to influence a certain process? And the places
there is no relationship between you and the officers to warrant a document. You don't know them.
You don't know them. So why would you want to give an envelope to them, Honorable?
So if I see you, do I have to know you before I do you a favor? Assuming, so that question doesn't even arise. So there shouldn't be any relationship before, you know what I mean? And I'm saying that I've not influenced anybody negatively to turn the will of the people in a certain direction.
So are you going to accept, for instance, an invitation from the IGP or the police to investigate this?
I've answered this question already, so there's no need, respectfully, there's no need me to belabor the point. Oh, but he asked the question earlier when I did that. Nothing wrong has been done. You know what I mean? So people should... I'm hoping that my candidate wins, and he will win fair and square. And I'm sure that, I'm hoping that it's going to be a convincing win. And this is politics. I know some of my friends even send it to me and they're laughing, you know what I mean? So, me, I'm a psychologist, and I'm not bothered at all. But I respect Ghanaians and all those who are raising these issues with good intent. I don't have any promise about that. But you know, you use the word spin. People will spin. And they know that what happened was not to undermine the process, but they also spin for some political... The point is that even without this Ombeka, I think some motor report elsewhere, people are exaggerating a whole lot. So I said there people will have reasons to, you know what I mean? So
when you say you are not bothered, does it mean that this incident here does not affect you in any way as far as your political career is concerned?
Yeah, me say I've not done anything wrong. You need to prove that I've done something wrong. My political career, how would this affect my political career? Have I killed somebody? Have I done something untoward and all that? Please. You know what I mean? Because I respect you, that was why I compromised to do that. Because I respect, you know what I mean, Ghanaian, that's why I've done that. But I'm saying that...
From the narration you gave us, you said it was a document.
A document.
No, listen to me well. I'm saying that I've done nothing untoward about this process. I'm saying that those who are suggesting that, for example, there was something in the envelope, don't have any evidence to say that. No, sorry, I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth.
So definitely there was something in the envelope, but not a document.
But not document.
I'm saying that I've not done anything negative to undermine the process. That's it. Yeah, that's
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you. You saw in your shot the MP for Kwada, so Professor Kingsley Nyako.
Okay, so that there is Ohemi Interior. We've learned a few things. We'll come to unpack it. Gentlemen, hold on. Because Ohemi is coming back into the conversation now. He did that interview. His cameras captured that video, and he's joining us now to fill it in. Because there are parts of this that we may have missed or lost in translation. Let's hear him out. Ohemi, thanks very much. First of all, did he give you clarity on what was in the envelope? I think he confirmed it was an envelope. The question is, what was in it? You asked that question many times. This was a conversation that happened, and part of it happened before we went live. So tell me, did we miss anything? Did he tell us what was in the envelope?
So, Evans, as far as Professor Kingsley Nyako is concerned, he refused to disclose the contents of that envelope. Just to say that at a point he wanted to sway us to say it was a document But when we pointed out to him that it was an envelope, then he confirmed it was an envelope, but he wouldn't want to disclose the content of that envelope, except to say that when he's invited by the police, he will disclose what may be contained in that particular envelope. But he didn't also say the envelope was an empty one. Definitely it contained something, but he refused to disclose the content of that particular envelope, which has been the bone of contention and has been a topic for discussion even here in Ejisu. So many people are discussing it, asking questions as to what could be involved as far as the envelope is concerned, Evans.
Okay. So that was essential clarity that I wanted, whether he gave any sense of what was in his envelope. I mean, thank you very much and great reporting. Stay with us because we're going to be staying with you till we get the results from Ejisu. So, gentlemen, let's weigh in now. We now know a few things. He confirmed he gave an envelope because he used the word himself. What was in the envelope? Reporters say you said it was a document. He says, no, it's not a document. I didn't say it was a document.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Don't put my words in my mouth. If I had given an envelope to them, you don't know what is in it. People are speculating it's a spin. Then he says, they asked him the question, you didn't know the people.
Yeah.
So why are you giving them an envelope? He says, well, why? Do I need to know you to do you a favor?
Yeah. That's where the issue begins. Do I need to know you to do you a favor? While you may not have disclosed the content of the envelope, what would constitute a favor in an envelope?
Yeah.
Somebody should help me. What would constitute a favor in an envelope? These are persons you do not know. You say, do I need to know you before I do? And watch the video clearly. He actually does something like, for the two of you. And then puts it, and he was trying to hand it over to them. They do not collect it, so he drops it on the table. What favor is that? Now, Professor Kingsley Nyakon, once he admits that this was doing the
Okay, stay with me, please, because the EC just sent a statement. I want to read it because this is coming in right now.
Okay.
Following the incident that occurred during the conduct of the Ejisu By-Election today, Friday, 30th April 2024, the Commission has undertaken preliminary investigations, and this is just breaking out. And so I want to go through this quickly, and I had to interrupt the flow of Winston for this. And this is a statement from the Electoral Commission. Following the incident that occurred during the conduct of the Ejisu By-Election today, Friday, 30th April 2024, the Commission has undertaken preliminary investigations. The investigations revealed that the officers at the said polling station, namely for Mesua Pentecost Church polling station, that's the polling station's name, with polling station code F311503, were temporary election officials of the Electoral Commission recruited to conduct the Ejisu By-Election. So the establishment that they indeed have been recruited and there were officers there, but they are temporary staff. That's the first thing they've established in the investigations. 2, they are Regina Sewa, ballot issuer, and George Sasu, which is what you mentioned earlier, presiding officer. Our investigations further reveal that the man in the video walked to their table and inquired whether they had eaten favor. Favor. Are you listening? This is breaking here from the Electoral Commission. The man, they are Regina Sewa, ballot issuer, and George Sasu, presiding officer. Our investigations further revealed that the man in the video, who you just heard there, the Member of Parliament for Kwadaso, Kingsley Nyakon, walked to their table and inquired whether they had eaten. He then placed the envelope on the table and asked them to use the contents of the envelope for their lunch, following which he walked away. The Electoral Commission has taken the following actions. 1, withdraw with immediate effect the services of the 2 temporary election officers. 2, held preliminary discussions with the Ghana Police Service to kickstart the process for criminal investigations into the matter. This is signed by Mr. Samuel Tete, Deputy Chairman, Operations at the Electoral Commission. So again, if you're just joining us, the Electoral Commission has conducted preliminary investigations into the video you just watched. The video of Kingsley Nyako. Now he's admitted giving an envelope, dropping it on the table. Now we know from the Electoral Commission a few things. The identities of the two officers, the EC officers in question. It has been established that they were indeed recruited by the Electoral Commission. One is Regina Sewa, he's a ballot issuer. And the second is George Sasu, presiding officer. Findings. The EC says that the man in question, Kingsley Nyako, one, he walked to their table and inquired whether they had eaten first prima facie establishment by the Electoral Commission. He then placed the envelope, so again, if established it's an envelope, on the table and asked them to use the contents of the envelope for their lunch. Presumes that it contains money.
Yes, money.
Money.
That's a favor.
Money. So asked them to take the contents of the envelope for their lunch. The EC, subsequent to that, and you see that on your screen right now, withdrawn the officers with immediate effect. They've held preliminary discussions with the Ghana Police Service to kickstart a process for criminal investigations into the matter. Gentlemen.
Yes, first and foremost, this is appropriate conduct. We were worried that the EC was actually stepping in the middle and acting in ways that are unprofessional. The expectation, and I even did not think that, mindful of the fact that this has played out in public and there's a tape back in it, and mindful of the fact that these are, and they go to greater lengths to separate, and people should know the difference. They are election officers.
Not electoral officers.
Yes, and electoral officers. Yeah. So election officers are recruited for elections. Mostly ahead of the election, they open up and ask people to join in. Then they use them for the election. And they are basically saying that these are not our permanent staff. These are people we just recruited for each election. And I also explained that the presiding officer is in charge of the polling station. And the ballot issue, as the name indicates, that will give you your ballot paper to go and do the voting. Now, the other important part is that there is this attempt to pretend we don't know it is Professor Kingsley Nyako. Not only is he a member of parliament, everybody has known him also as a distinguished lecturer in psychology, proud to go into parliament. And it's not in doubt at all. That is why it will be shocking that he'll be the one involved in such an act. The other point which I am happy the AC has now come to give some indication on, it will be surprising that the professor brought a document. That's why he said they should not misquote him. And he ended up saying it's a favor. It is pretty obvious to everybody that this is money.
It's money.
You could not have brought food in that small envelope for them to eat, no matter how you want to conceive it. So that's not the lunch money here.
Gentlemen, hold on. There's a lot to unpack from this preliminary outcome, and I know Winston is dying to have a bite. I'll bring you in pretty shortly. But the national organizer of the NPP is with me now. He's on the phone with me. Nana B is on. Hello, Nana. Thanks for your time here on the election headquarters.
Thank you very much, Evans.
And I'll come to the elections because you're just joining when the news is breaking. The Electoral Commission just issued a statement telling us what they found in that video. I'm very, very sure you've seen that video. You've just heard, if you haven't, I can read it again, what the EC has found as to why the envelope was dropped, etc. How is the party responding to this, considering that it is your member of parliament who was doing this, presumably in your name?
Evans, thank you once again. Good evening. The party, at the moment, is focused on the Ejisu By-Elections. We are, at this moment, concentrating on our internal coalition processes. For me personally, I've not even seen the video. I've been moving around the Ejisu constituency from this morning. So I've not seen it. Maybe we can speak about it tomorrow, but we were all focused. I mean, this is a big day for us. It's a by-election, so I will not be focusing on said video which is circulating. And again, you have just read out the EC's statement. So I think that should be it. The EC is an independent body. They have gone into it. They've issued a statement. They said they've referred the matter to the Ghana police, and I think it's within their right to do so.
And considering the gravity of what has happened, and I know you say you're focusing on elections, but in these matters such as this, what does your own internal processes say? What do you do?
I cannot speak to it. I've not seen the video. I've not spoken to Professor Akufo-Addo. I don't have the facts. It would be unfair and wrong to make any comment on this particular matter. What is important is that lawyer Akufo-Addo is winning this election by some 5,000 votes from our internal collation processes. And as I said yesterday, I had an interview with you yesterday, I told you that we're going to have a clear win. And that is exactly what is happening.
But this whole incident confirms for many people that there have been vote buying in the constituency on a massive scale. At least this one was caught on video.
No, say it again.
I'm saying this video, now that the EC have established that, monies was given to buy food, presumably, many will look at that as a confirmation that there was vote buying on the part of the MPP in the constituency today.
Evans, I cannot speak to it. What I can speak to is the fact that lawyer Akufo-Addo has won the elections in the Ejisu constituency, and I think that should be what should be discussed at this moment. I mean, you've read it. I've said that I've not seen it. I will look at it, and then maybe we can have a discussion tomorrow. I mean, it's a running story, but for now, lawyer Akufo-Addo has won the Ejisu constituency with a clear, a majority, with some 5,000 votes, which is a decent result. And that is what we need to be discussing. And honestly speaking, I will not want to focus because I've not seen it. I've not seen the video. I've not spoken to Professor Akufo-Addo. Yes, you've read out the EC statement. That is fine. The party will look at it. And I'm very sure that we will come out of our position afterwards. But tonight, lawyer Akufo-Addo is the MP elect for Ejisu. And that is the most important thing.
And Abi, please stay with me. And our viewers joining us right now from the Joy Prime. If you're watching us right now, welcome. Welcome to a coverage of the Ejisu By-Elections. Polling ended at 5 p.m. This is our results show. Our viewers joining us on Joy Prime, welcome to our coverage. We're going to stay with you till 8 when we hope that the results would have been declared and we'll bring in reactions too. Already, we're speaking there to the national organizer of the NPP. If you're also listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, thanks for staying with us. Here is your election headquarters. And for many of you joining us from around the world, watching us on our many social media platforms, thanks for staying with us. Nanabi, you were talking about the outcome of tonight's elections. You say your internal collation puts your candidate in a clear victory. And you actually go ahead to quote a particular number of votes. What does it say? What is it that your internal collation is showing tonight, as at this point with 2 hours after the polls ended?
Evans, are you?
Yeah. I'm talking to you about. You mentioned your internal collation, and that your internal collation puts him with a certain figure. What figure is that? Yeah, what figure is that?
We are talking about, after about 196 polling stations, our candidate is almost about 26,000, whilst our opponent is around 21,000 thereabout. So, and then we have 205 polling stations. So, I can confirm that from our internal coalition center, lawyer Akufo-Addo is the MP elect, for just with a decent margin. And that is why yesterday I was saying that info analytics, I keep saying it, and I don't know why sometimes you give them publicity. Because they said it was going to be a slim margin. And I told you that was a discredited pool. Somebody sits in the comfort of the living area and then churn out figures. So once again, just like they predicted wrongly in our internal elections during the presidential, they failed again. right? So we won the election and we won with a decent margin, so some 5,000. And I'm even hoping that it will hit 6,000 vote gap.
There's a mistake. Okay. Nabi, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And that, Nabi there, remember that the numbers that he quotes, they are NPP numbers. They are not EC numbers. These are internal coalition numbers he's mentioned there. And I'm mentioning that just so that you know what value to place on it. This is your election headquarters. We are waiting for the certified results from the coalition center. And you will hear it here because our men on the ground will get it for you. And when we tell you, that will be it. But that every party does this. So this is not new. A Duomi's team would have done their own collation. We'll be speaking to them too, just to get a sense of where they also are tonight in terms of their own collation. We'll be going back to the collation center where we now know that a lot of the polling station results are going for the declarations to happen. And very quickly, Raymond, you have something to say about the statement, or we'll hear from Winston? Yes.
There's a mistake in there. The EC says, following the incident that occurred during the conduct of the Ejisu By-Election today, Friday, the 30th of April, 2024. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. So the Electoral Commission, this is not Friday. Okay. But Evans, it's also important. So how much?
Yeah, I mean the letter is dated 30th April. I think they got it the day
wrong. So yes,
the day wrong.
They got the day wrong. But it's also important we know how much was given to these two. It is not enough saying
it's lunch.
Go and buy lunch, because lunch. There's lunch and there's lunch.
What is lunch and what is lunch?
If you say go and buy lunch, okay, and you have clear mind, which is something you don't even have to do at a polling station.
Yes, that's true.
You don't have to do that at all. Even if you know me and I am an election officer, you don't give me lunch. And I should be bold enough to say, I won't take it, go. Even if you, Evans Mensah, you met me at because that is something that must not happen at all. So the motive itself is problematic. And that's why I say it's important for us to know how much these people were giving. And you see, you could hear Professor Nyako constantly, I did nothing wrong. If I want to bribe people, I won't bribe people in public.
That's not the point.
That's not, I mean, who says that's the issue? The issue is that you go to a polling station, the presiding officer and the ballot issuer. Look, for all of us who have been engaged in elections right from the student level, the ballot issuer in the student election is the most important person. Yeah. Because the ballot issuer can actually give you 2 and 3 if he knows who you are and where you belong. Okay? What was Professor Nyako's motive? Whatever it was, he just...
But he told you the motive. He said he did them a favor.
A favor?
Yeah.
You're doing election officials a favor.
In return for what?
In return for what?
That's a good question.
But even if we perceive that he's supposed to be feeding them, has he fed all the election officials on the ground in a 204 polling station?
Fair question. But this is the only part that was captured on the video.
Yes.
So
who is actually feeding the rest of them and doing them the favor here?
And was this done deliberately? And was he the only one doing it?
And
there's a lot of questions.
I also see, I have a difficulty with how close he got to the officials. I don't know what that table is for. But if that table is part of the polling area, why is the member of parliament not, because he doesn't vote in the area? He's not part of the election. How is he able to access that restricted area?
Exactly.
And have that conversation with them so that I can drop the envelope there. So, I mean, there are so many questions about this process. It doesn't look like, and his explanations are also a bit problematic. In fact, they are almost like, I admit I gave them something, but what I gave them was not to influence them.
And then he said, well, you go.
Seeking, among other things, to dismiss the bribery part. So there's an element where you have to show proof that this was to influence somebody. But the person we are talking about here, the role matters. First, they are conducting an election, a very serious election for that matter. They are keen to making decisions that may influence the election. And let nobody, including Dr. Ashibokwaku, say it's not possible. See, the presumption here is that if you have a very...
Okay, quickly. It has been corrected.
Yeah,
it has been corrected. It has been corrected.
It has been corrected.
It has been corrected.
Brilliant.
So
but there are other questions. Who's in possession of this particular envelope anyway?
And I was going to say that.
Yes.
Because the EC statement presumes that the officers accepted it.
Know the content.
Yeah, because I assume that EC, the 2 officers are their recruits. So readily, they can have access to them in their preliminary investigations. And that's in the question. What was this? I'm presuming that these two officers would have told EC that he gave us the money for food.
Yes.
And if that is what they told them, it means they actually accepted it.
But the very first justification we heard from Dr. Sebo Kwaku, which I felt was prejudicial, was that they didn't touch the envelope.
Yeah, but he didn't know. He was just commenting on something that had just
but I mean, he said so.
Yeah.
The narrative of your officers actually suggests that we know the content of the envelope. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it is in furtherance of something that we do know. I am interested in knowing who is in possession of that key evidence, the envelope that contains the money.
Yeah, I mean,
because at the end of the day, to prove to them that indeed he tried bribing them.
Did they accept the contents of the envelope?
If they,
we're using contents because those are the words of the. Did they accept it? Did they buy food with it? How much exactly was the amount in that? I mean, there are a lot of questions.
How much was? I mean, of course, these are things. And to add to the point you make, what business? I mean, if you are an observer in an election, do you go asking people whether they've eaten?
Yeah. And these are not even your party agents. These are EC officials.
EC officials.
Who are being catered for by the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
Anyway, there isn't any part of it that said that they accepted it.
Yes.
But
they say they've been giving money.
They didn't return it.
Okay, so they've been.
No, we don't know that too.
No, hold on. They didn't return it.
I mean,
that's what I'm asking. Who is in possession of the evidence?
Exactly.
You had a member of parliament. You had a member of
parliament.
He left. He said, I dropped it.
Yes.
I left.
But the video we saw,
he left.
They didn't touch it at least in the shop.
They didn't touch it there. But the point is that this is the thing. The Electoral Commission then acts and withdraws them. This, you can argue, is only to bring credibility to the process. So these persons. But if the Electoral Commission say they've been totally. Now, let me go through the statement again. The part that you read that said that they're not going to be part of the Electoral Commission's this thing. I just want to read that part.
I can read it for you.
Yes, read it for me.
Okay, so he says that, is it the withdrawal? The withdrawal?
Yes.
It says the Electoral Commission has taken the following action. 1, withdraw with immediate effect the services of the 2 temporary election officers. Held preliminary discussions with the Ghana Police Service to kickstart the process for criminal investigations into the matter. Is it
so
the part?
If the Electoral Commission now hands them over, holds discussions with the Ghana Police Service to commence criminal investigations, if any, it will tell you that in the Electoral Commission's own sense, there is prima facie, there's evidence for further investigations, there's evidence for criminal investigations. Why would the Electoral Commission have evidence for criminal investigations, if any? Because these persons are in possession of the money.
Presumably.
Well, because the Electoral Commission says
the transaction
these are
is important. I can tell you, Evans Mensah, I have intentions of bribing you. Whenever you actually are doing any work, let me know. I'll bribe you so that you do it in my favor. But when I do some evidence to back it, like giving you money or doing a transfer in pursuit of that decision to bribe you, it takes it a step forward. I have taken action, which is what will be presented. So somebody in possession of that evidence, because now it will be the EC officer's word against the man's own. Because the man did not explain that. I asked them, were they hungry? He did not give all that detail.
But he told us publicly that he did a favor them for a favor.
Which was
doing them a favor.
hesitant in saying, and the favor can vary on different levels. Maybe the EC officers had lost their document somewhere. He found the document and brought to them. Listen, I don't want you to be going.
But he disputed that it was document.
Yes,
he disputed it.
In this case, we can only agree that there's an envelope we have seen because they are not saying there's money in there.
There's money, but the EC says there's money. So
brilliant.
The EC didn't say there's money.
No, the EC says that. See, they are playing games around this lunch.
The content.
Oh, no, hold on.
Contents of it was given to them for lunch.
But what will he give it? Why is he going to give them coupons? Chips to them. Watch this.
Yeah.
The presiding officer will not leave the police.
That's true.
He's not going to leave.
Yeah.
So if
he's
the
presiding at the police station,
he's not going to leave.
He can send somebody to buy the food with a check.
Hold on. Oh, he can send somebody. So that's the point. If he's not going to leave the polling station, what was he giving him? The EC, it is the EC's responsibility to provide
supplies food
for the presiding officer.
Maybe the food isn't enough.
Yes, well, if the food isn't enough, that's not your business.
No, but more seriously, the fact that we're even laughing about it is a tragedy now.
No,
this is a very serious matter.
Yeah.
This is a very democracy at stake here. This is a national election. This is not a party primary, right? Even if the party primary is bad enough. This is a by-election that will determine who will represent 160, even far more. In fact, we are talking about 180, 190,000 people in a constituency. And we have a case of what appears to be vote buying.
Yes.
And they are not only, well, those are allegations we haven't verified, buying voters.
Yes.
They are attempting to influence election officers.
And Evans,
that is serious.
Voter. It's not as serious as the guys organizing
the referee.
Yes.
The referee. This is, and the EC says, and the reason why this really is a bit unprecedented. Look, I have covered elections for 20 years.
Target voters.
When was the last time, Winston, you had the Electoral Commission confirming that they've handed, their officers have been given cop envelope by a member of parliament who says they should take the money while the voting is happening.
I haven't heard that before.
To go and buy food.
No.
The EC investigates, establishes that it happened, and says, while the voting is happening, withdraws them and gives them over to the police. I haven't heard that before.
And you see, this is happening because, and the brazen nature of it is because it is being seen largely as an internal election. You look at it keenly. If there was an NDC agent there, you see the kind of hell that raised immediately. Exactly. Even Kingsley would not have dared go close to the place because who would allow you to do that? What? Imagine the guy is going to influence or purporting or hoping to influence the presiding officer and the ballot issuer. They would have stopped the election process right there and asked that the gentlemen be replaced with people they trust or cancel the votes entirely. Even if this is a clean election at the end of the day and there's a declaration to that effect, anybody can still raise the matter and ask the question, how many other 204 areas?
Very legitimate. You may not have evidence for this, but this is enough.
Yes.
Right, one polling station, of course, the question then becomes, if you give all the votes in the polling station to one candidate, would it make a difference in the poll? It's a question I know the courts will ask.
No. It's important. Why not?
No, it's important,
yes,
of course,
because
but
this is first past the post. A single vote matters.
I know.
What's the name of the member of parliament?
I'm talking about
precedent. An MP was in parliament
I'm
with
talking
just
about
3 votes.
Our Supreme Court has asked that question.
Yes.
Our Supreme Court has asked that question about numbers. Does it change the outcome?
No, it doesn't, but it questions the integrity of the election.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
It's the integrity. And I mean, look, if today, anybody who loses this election can say that this election has not been free and fair.
And adduce as evidence what happened in that single
and say, do you know what may have happened
elsewhere?
Now, watch this carefully, Evans. So, did Kingsley, and he's a psychologist, he teaches educational psychology.
Yes.
Did he plan this before going to the polling center? Because he puts his figures.
You must have bought an envelope.
But
you must have counted the money.
He knows how
you
much.
Must have opened the envelope. You must have put in the envelope. You must have sealed it. You must have put it in your back pocket. You must have walked. You must have reached out. And watch. Before he dropped it, he dangles it. Please show it again. Show the video. He dangles it, and the officers did not respond. Nobody reached out. And then he drops it. Right? So watch the video there.
He's in a chat with them.
And in the chat, you see how his fingers move?
Yes. So here's
watch this.
So he then dangles it, nobody takes it, and then drops it.
Mumienu, the two of you. See? The two of you. For the two of you. Then he leaves it. But the point is that, so before he got there, did he know what he was going to do?
It was pretty obvious.
He had, so you can see. So did he have a plan?
He didn't even check the amount.
No.
It was pre-packaged.
Yeah, pre-packaged. So, he knew the amount, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
he knew the amount.
What does that tell you?
Premeditated.
That it's not something that came up and realized that this guy has asthma, ulcer.
So how did he know when he was leaving home and counting the money that they were hungry?
Brilliant. Of course, if you have been in the elections, sometimes when the agents go there, and it happens mostly during the registration exercise, when they go around, in order to favor their people, for example, if I go and bus people from an area, and I suspect that Winston may not be cooperative in getting them registered, I will try to influence, and that's how I even influence my opponent's people by sharing money or food to all of them. So that when it comes to making a decision or questioning whether or not Western is qualified to register at this polling station, they may be soft on it. But I have not seen with my own eyes on the ground during an election. Perhaps the two most important people, if you take these two,
it's not perhaps.
The other people are the verification officer. That one, your finger is put on the tin, he checks, then there's verified, the sound comes out. But the guy who gives the ballot is giving you the power to go and actually vote.
The presiding officer
the gentleman
is the equivalent of Jimensa at the polling station.
So
that's how powerful he is.
Yes. He can, in the counting of the ballots, he can do things. In the accounting for the ballots, that pin sheet, collation sheet, he can actually make, not deliberate, or make mistakes, which will inure to one...
Transpositional error.
Yes, to one person's benefit or the other. These are possibilities in our election, and let nobody pretend that they don't exist. If people want to do that kind of thing, they can do it. But to go and me, I'm even worried about how anybody can invade that space. Because if I check what happened in Baltimore during the NPP's own internal election, how they had separated candidates, everybody from the main election, that if you're not really going to go through the polling, it is difficult to access the people who are involved in this. How they can get them and talk to them and have a conversation about their...
He is not an agent.
Yes.
And you see...
And if it were to be an agent, would have been there from the beginning.
Exactly. But even in an election, and I've seen elections where candidates want to even talk to the presiding officer, he invites sometimes other agents sometimes to be witnesses to the discussions. Because the presiding officer wants to at all points be seen as neutral. His integrity must be intact at all points. Because you don't want to do anything which could jeopardize the process.
And since you're talking about presiding officer, I want to play that video again, because the conversation with the officers did not begin, not here. Let's begin from when he started walking in, because you begin to see that the presiding officer wasn't at the table. He walks.
So he called him over.
He walks here. You see, he walks and then comes to the table. He wasn't there. It was the ballot issuer who was there at the beginning.
An attempt to explain something. Like, check the ballot issuer's ballot act. Check the number of ballots that have been issued already. I get the point, and I'm getting your point.
Yeah. So this is where he was.
I'm sure he asked the question, how many people have voted so far?
And this is important, because the presiding officer is the first to encounter Kingsley Nyako.
There's a policeman.
There's a police officer right behind him, watching on. He then walks, Kingsley Nyako and himself, they had a conversation. He walks with him all the way to where the ballots are being issued. You see that?
Yes. To check a ballot slot like the pack, to see the number, because on that number you will see, because it's numbered properly with serial numbers, you will see whether or not 50 or 120 or 30 people have voted at the polling station, or we have issued out this number of ballots on the day. And it's so clear that he actually spoke to him about that.
And in all through, it's the presiding officer who is responding to
the questions. Because he's in charge of the place, that's without doubt. But then he finishes that first conversation and apparently have a conversation about food if it's supposed to be the case. Because the first question about food cannot be the question that took the man from the beginning of the table or the entry into the polling station to the tail end. It cannot be. It's so obvious there have been other questions asked before the transition from that end to the...
What actually necessitated that movement? What did Kingsley tell the presiding officer that got him to... What was he going to show him?
Yes. I suspect it
what
would
was
be
he going to show him?
on the how do you call it? So beginning of an election, they take the first serial number, and when they finish with the last, they take the last one, so that we can track the ballot papers to see whether or not those are the ones in the ballot box. It could, from that list, when they're taking it out, you could see the number taken out there to see whether 300 and 250 of the ballot papers or slips have been taken off. Sometimes, if you're not lucky and there are additional ones, you may not know, because there could be about 4 or so packs there. But what I see the man doing, what I see the presiding officer doing, is now looking at the number on a single slab. The taking out, what they call it, ballot papers. To see the number. And he communicates something to the member of parliament. I suspect he asked, how many people have voted so far? Okay, let me show you. These are the numbers that have voted so far. That is what I suspect might have transpired there. Then beyond that, there's another conversation. This is perhaps why they can agree or perhaps say that he asked about whether they have eaten. And they might have said, no, we have not eaten. Because that would be the only explanation that will warrant
give me money.
And I like the fact that they may have said, but this is the other point also. So,
like the fact they may have said no.
Raymond says they may have said.
Yes, because clearly.
Now we don't know.
We don't know,
But this is the other point. So which other polling stations did he visit?
True.
Before he came here.
Before he came here.
Or other people.
Or after he left, this particular polling station. Did he do same? Okay? Because you can see him pulling the envelope from his back pocket. And which other members of his party could have done same? You see, it may be only Kingsley. It may be other people. And for me, this is where the problem is.
That is why a wide investigation, a probe of the activities on the ground. And you see, anybody will ask for this, and it's legitimate because you have some few months to the main election. A probe to determine whether or not this was widespread or just curtailed to the single center.
I think you're onto something there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because then you guarantee the people that
in other words,
where
else was he seen?
And
which other polling station was he seen?
So we can say that from 7 o'clock till 8, 9 or 11, Kingsley Nyako appeared on only one polling station.
Or he was in 5 polling stations.
Yes, or in 5. In all the 5, there is no evidence that he went even close to the polling center in a way that he could speak to the people. He never met any of the officers of the EC, and so there is no need to interrogate the other factors. But somebody must do the initial inquiry, and it must not end with what we have evidence for alone, because there are bigger questions at play. There are bigger motive questions at play.
And let me ask the question, Winston. Surprised that from the interview he granted us, he's admitted a lot of things himself. It's 7:25 now. There's no record, no evidence yet that he's been called, he's been arrested, he's been charged, he's been questioned. But the officers have been. That's understandable, of course. They were the referees in the matter. Surprised that Kingsley Nyako himself is still walking free, considering the gravity of what has happened. We don't have it in the record yet. And I know the police service. If they've done something about it, they would have issued a statement by now, I would have seen it.
Yeah, exactly. By now.
But this happened before a police officer.
Before a police officer.
Standing right
the
there.
man was standing just a few seconds.
Let's even say that police officer doesn't have is not bold enough to do.
Or maybe he didn't see the money. He didn't see the envelope.
Okay, let's say he didn't see it.
He didn't see it.
For purposes of argument, he didn't see it. Now, this is the same police service that people on social media say, oh, Ghana Police Service, this man is doing this. Then, he's picked up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
very possible
they have followed up enough videos to arrest people.
Look, I know, but it's very possible this has happened. And then a statement is on his way. I don't know.
Let me tell
it's
you
very
something.
possible.
But we don't know. We would have gotten to know. We've seen an interview of Kingsley Nyako even daring the people that people should take me on if I've done something.
Yeah, he said the IGP, likes to invite him, he's going to come. So at the time we're doing this interview, the police have not reached out to him.
Somebody sent it to me. I think before 12. Someone sent this video.
Yeah, this happened in the morning.
In the morning, before 12. Right after the Super Morning Show, someone sent this to me. So I was with Samuel and I was with you. We said, look at what's happening there. After 10 a.m., that's when I saw it. It is now almost 7:30. Oh, come on. I am surprised. Because this is the police service that would, someone holds a gun and the person says, oh, Ghana Police Service, have you seen this guy with a gun, what? Then they quickly
or even boasting about doing things
it.
that are not lawful.
Then they go for the person. So on that note, you respect the police. And the man is actually saying, if you think I have done anything wrong, take me on. Because I did it in public. I have no bad motive. I just did them a favor. Can't I see you and do you a favor?
And again, even though he's member of parliament, he's not on his way or coming out of parliament.
No.
He's really roaming in Ejisu, very far from parliament anyway. So there can be an excuse why we have not heard from the legitimate authorities of state who are supposed to investigate this matter. And I think that the EC can be commended for the swift response, even if we have difficulties with how they have responded to this and the content of the message they have put out there. There is still room for improvement on the EC side, but they have said something. Yeah. We have not heard anything from the police. So ideally, a police officer would have been asked, the one on the ground, to write an incident report on this particular incident. Yeah, except the police institution does not consider this as an incident. Because there's a man.
It may have happened.
Well,
we don't know yet. Well, it may have happened.
Well, but we know how the police will engage. But now
we know how.
Their Facebook page would have been littered with something briefly.
I must say that this is a test for the Ghana Police Service. This is a test. This is the clearest evidence yet when it comes to vote buying at a very high level. This is a member of parliament who is seen, especially because of the EC's preliminary investigations. If it was just at the level of us talking about the video, it's fine, we're speculating. But EC comes with a fair degree of certainty, having spoken to its own officers, what transpired, treating it. It is exactly what this is.
It's a serious offense.
It's a serious offense. It's well defined in our laws. If it's about food, it is well defined in our laws. There's a term for it. And look, this is, and many have said that if this was a country in which people were serious, this MP currently should be seriously before a host of officers being interrogated. I mean, immediately, officers should be in a constituency tracing where he's been the entire morning and asking people, do you see him So these are things that we need to look at. And we'll be talking to the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers pretty shortly, because I know they've been watching this space. We'll hear from them. We'll also hear from Ediomi's own people, and I want to hear from them on this. How do they intend to approach this particular matter? Because they stand to lose a lot in this. I mean, if you're checking if indeed it's had any influence on and the thing about Kingsley Nyako.
There's something that somebody has said, that the first act, when they first met, when the Member of Parliament first met the presiding officer, the policeman was just behind them. Just behind them. The interpretation could mean that he saw that this conversation cannot happen before the policeman.
Okay, so they have
let's move it to a corner where he's a bit removed from it so that we can get different views and perspectives on this matter. So that we can transact our business without the prying eye of the police officer being just around us. That's a possible interpretation, which can be put to rest if the police had arrested and interrogated the man.
Let's just watch the video again. I mean, you would see something. So watch.
That's the video.
Watch the video again. Okay, watch the video again. And let's see the part that, he takes out the envelope. Let me just check that part again. Check that part again, and then...
I know where you're going. I've received lots of messages on this.
Yes, I want to see something. I want to see if there was any direction as to what he should do.
From one of the officers?
From one of the officers. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Let's see.
So the one cleaning the hand. Oh, he has to put it down.
That's a hand.
He has to put it down.
That's a hand. That's a hand.
Oh, yes.
So that's the presiding officer.
Yes, he has to put it down.
No, but can you categorically conclude that was it?
No.
There's definitely a hand. Let's watch again.
Watch this.
There's definitely a hand. Okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely a hand that hits the table.
Twice, and the money's dropped on the table.
See,
so the first time I saw it, I thought there was a document there that he was referencing.
A rejection. Could have been, no.
Yeah.
No. The body language will not be, you put it on the table.
Yeah, the twice.
Yes.
The twice. It appears the middle finger.
Yeah.
The middle finger hits the table
and
twice.
And a pen also.
Yeah. There's a pen to it too. Let's watch this again. You see the presiding officer with a pen right there, twice. Immediately hits the table twice, the envelope drops. The envelope drops, of course.
So it's indicating where you should put the money. It doesn't, you see, it doesn't connote rejection. It doesn't connote, I am not taking your money. I hope you get my point.
Yeah.
Because we know that if you don't want the money, you can tell the person that, no, sorry, we don't do that here. And that's clear cut. And the body language would have suggested that. What this suggests to me is that you put it on the table so that people do not see that they are transacting. You're handing over to me and I'm taking it from your hand. That is the only difficulty or this explanation I come to or interpretation I can put to this transaction. Just over the shoulder of a human terrier.
You know, my producers kept telling me that's what happened. But I mean, it's
that's what.
It's so difficult to just make the point that they actually, the presiding officer almost demanded for it and actually guided him to put the money there because that is so substantive to the outcome of the investigation.
So, possibly, there was a policeman behind us. So let's move to a safer spot. We move to a safer spot. At the safer spot, there's also transactional elements involved. So please put it on the table so that I'm not seeing touching it.
And we'll be going back to Ejisu pretty shortly. We want to, at this stage, we believe that a lot of the polling centers would have taken their results to the collation center. And that's where the action is. We'll be going back there very shortly for you. But I want to bring in Paul Abrampa with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers and also with the CDD. He joins me right now. Paul, thanks for your time here on your election headquarters. And since we are on this subject of the video that everybody has seen, and I'm assuming you've seen it too, Cordero, where do you stand on what must happen now?
Good evening, my brother, and let me say very good evening to our listeners. Some of these pictures are very much important to us at CODEO because then it buttresses some of the findings I've been bringing up over the years. In 2016, 2012, we mounted special projects to monitor abuse of incumbency. We developed guidelines from the Constitution, from the Act of abuse of incumbency, but the political parties kept challenging our reports. So some of these things just come up to buttress some of the findings that they have been challenging when we see this physically happening.
And Paul Abrampa, the point about this, though, when you look at what we've seen today, the EC has issued a statement. One, they've reported it to the police. Two, they have also withdrawn their officers. Immediately it happened. What do you say about the EC's intervention so far?
Improving. I've had occasion to blame the EC's communication department, that they always allow people to set agenda for them. And just yesterday, I was discussing this on another media platform, why the EC did not even take the little report, the mention of the BVDs, as they said, why the EC, in responding to auctioning some obsolete equipment, could not quote the media platform through which they publicize it. They could not quote who came out. So always the EC has been late and comes up to respond when somebody has set the agenda. So this is improving. This is very much apt, and I think they should go that way as soon as issues happen. Because in elections, what makes people accept election results is the confidence and trust they have in the Electoral Commission. So some of these things are proactive, and I think they need to continue in that line. Okay. And in terms of now, this is a subject of, well, not yet, that must be a subject of police investigations. Does this affect the integrity of the entire poll? You are election monitors. When you have a case like this with video evidence in one polling center, will that amount to negating everything that's been done in the entire constituency in terms of its credibility, the poll's credibility? My brother, we've had opportunity to have two court cases around the results of our elections, one in 2013, one in 2021. And the key determinant of whether entire election results should be cancelled or not is the impact that one singular issue could have on the entire electoral process. Can it have any input but end the results or speak in the results? That's the determinant that the court have been that, and that's the standard that every election goes about. For example, if reports that ballot materials could not get to a certain polling center at required time, then we ask ourselves the delay. What impact did the delay have on the entire voting day from 7 to 5 o'clock? I don't think this singular issue, even though worth investigating, can mar the electoral or the election results in the constituency. But of course, as we said, since it's in the hands of the investigators, we shouldn't preempt the outcome. So we should wait for whatever the outcome will be, so we'll take it from there. And for that polling station and the ballots that are already being cast there, what is the most appropriate thing to do now if indeed one of the candidates in this contest decides to challenge the results there? Don't forget, in every polling station, we have 3 different or 4 different categories of people at the polling station. We have the Electoral Commission staff, official staff, and even them, they are very categories, about 4 or 5 of them. We have the candidate agents in the polling center. We have the observers at the polling center. Then we have the security at the polling center. in this kind of investigations, everybody's statement is going to be taken. One person just issued the ballot paper, another stamps it, and another sees that it goes to ballots. Are you saying that the truth that is indeed what is the envelope is bribe? We don't know yet. It's subject to investigation. It's a bribe. It's financial bribe or whatever bribe it is. Can it affect the entire chain of the process up to casting the ballot? So it's some investigations that should go on for us to see. Was the envelope going to be given so that at a counting level, there's some sort of manipulation? Don't forget, in 2012, we issued a statement that some of the spread ballots were intentional machination of some of the counting agents. Could it be so it could be so many things that could be read into these things. That's why we have categories of people at the polling centers whose statements are going to be taken, including the interest representatives of the candidate. So we shouldn't rush into conclusion as to what might have happened or what was going to happen.
And also walk me through when you get to a polling station. This is a member of parliament. He's not an agent. And yet he had direct access to the presiding officer who walks with him, shows him what was happening, shows him some of their work that you're doing, and then this happened. It drops the envelope and walks out. In terms of the access, in terms of his access to the officers there, is that standard practice that if you're not an agent, you're not a candidate, you're not an officer, a police officer, you can have this access?
There have been some of these arguments as to sometimes morality and respect to the elderly in constituencies, in polling centers, to the extent that we have priorities for chiefs, queens, and some of the recognized and notable personalities in communities. Some of these people go to polling centers for the argument. I did a project in the 2020 elections with the Ejisu constituency because we identified that as one of the hotspots in the country. What we did with the police commander then was that we give special accreditation to people who are expected to enter the polling centers, and we agreed with the political parties that apart from the delegated observers or agents, we don't expect anybody else to go there, and even the vehicles that will distribute food to their agents should be accredited, tagged. And because of that, we're able to reduce incidence of polling station routes at Ejisu in 2020. So it's some of the things that is there, even though it's not in the Electoral Act, people just give recognition to some personalities, and when they get to, for instance, if a chief is going to vote, definitely everybody will let him pass by the queue and go and vote. If a chief comes to inspect whether there's peace at the polling station, definitely that recognition is be given. So as members of parliament, honorable members, definitely, for instance, if a student is going to go to a polling center, you didn't say because he's not an accredited or agent at the center, you don't allow him. So some of these things are there, but as elections go through processes of review, if some of these things start happening, we will review those recognitions and dignity we give to some of the people. Do we strictly go by accredited people to only have access to the polling centers? So it will come up as some of these people have started discrediting their own integrity, probably in the review processes, it may come up to probably make it strict as to who to have access to the polling centers.
And you make a very important point there about this should trigger reforms, because the coalition, that by the way is Paul Abrampa with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. I want to go to Ejisu now. I want to bring in Nana Yaw-Gyimah, who's standing by with us now from the Coalition Center. And all eyes now on the Coalition Center, because that is where the final results will be declared. MPPs claiming that they've won this. Let's see if they have. Nana Yaw-Gyimah, what can you report?
Evans, we are within the St. Anthony Catholic Church here at Ejisu, and things are ongoing here. That's the coalition are ongoing here. Within or behind me are the officials of the Electoral Commission, from the head of the EC in the Ashanti region, Benjamin Banobil, to all top officials of the EC within the region are all seated, going through the pink sheets that they've received from the various polling stations. And if these polling station results are certified, that is when they input it into the computers to make sure that the collation is done. So far, we don't have a clear picture of how many polling stations that have gone through the process and have passed the process yet. But what we know is that they are diligently going through the figures that have been received from the polling stations. There's a table set up outside this auditorium where all of the officers from the polling stations bring in their materials, including the pink sheet. And when the EC officials there take these materials, especially the pink sheet, which is the point of interest, they bring them in here, bring it to the huge table set up behind me, and these results, the officials receive them and go through them, and if it is certified, that is when they input it there into the projection that we've seen there. So now you can see some figures are now being input there too. So it means that these figures have been certified by the Electoral Commission. We have representative of the NPP here. We have the national chairman of the NPP, Mr. Stevens in team. He is seated with his team. To my right, they are seated there, and in front are some of the officials of the Ediomi camp. They are also seated there, led by Hobson-Adoye, and Mr. Adoye is the one seated with the EC officials, trying to ensure that the numbers that have come in tallies with what they've already received from the ground. We made efforts to speak to some of them, and they are telling us to exercise some restraint and wait for the EC to go through these figures, certify them, and make a declaration before they grant some interviews. So the results that are being projected here are not stable. The screen is not stable, so I'm unable to take viewers through the results. If my camera can zoom into the figures that we have on the projector screen, it looks like the points that have been projected yet are unable to show the figures. The figures are not yet input there, so I cannot take us through. But I can see that they are doing the inputs for Besianse RC Church, and what I can report now is that for Besianse RC Church, Kwabena Boateng has been given 69. That is the results that is coming in from the various polling stations. These are certified results. Kwabena Boateng had 69. Let's start from Ofori-Atta, who happens to be the CPP. Unfortunately, the EC officer just rode from that area. But now he's entering. I can see Bauro MAJHS projected there. Gifty Esther Osei had 0. Kwabena Boateng had 272. Then Beatrice Boache, who happens to be the representative of LPG, had 0. Mr. Ediomi, 109. And Fredia Ajaman had 1 vote. So that is results coming in from Bauro. It means that the NPP candidate in the person of Kwabena Boateng won that particular polling station. Unfortunately, the EC official keeps changing the figures, or keeps changing the what is being projected, because he continues to work on the figures. So unfortunately, I'm unable to take us through the exact figures. But let's go to Abanko, Ejisu Abanko. Kwabena Boateng was able to make 233 votes. Mr. Ediomi had 114 votes. That is Ejisu Abanko. These are certified results that is coming in from the EC's strong room here at Ejisu constituency. So as I said earlier, the EC has set up a table here within the St. Anthony Catholic Church here at Ejisu, which happens to be the coalition center, and they are taking the results that are coming in from the various polling stations. also there's another table set up outside of the auditorium itself, and that is where the polling agents come in with these results, and they are picked there. They are forwarded to the strong room, and it is worked on. The EC go through it to ensure that these are results that they can accept. Once it is certified, they input it into their data that they have in here. So that is what is happening here presently at the Coalition Center here in Ejisu. We are unable to give the exact number of polling stations that have come in here at the strong room. Let's go to Domiabra Methodist Primary School. Kwabena Boateng had 112 votes, and Mr. Kwabena Osu-Adomi was able to make 70 votes. The other aspirants couldn't make any vote from Domiabra Methodist Primary School. This is what we have here at the strong room. I'm sure that in a few minutes, a lot more will trickle in, and we'll be able to appropriately update our viewers here at Ejisu, or give them what is happening here at the EC Coalition Room here at Ejisu. Over to you, Evans.
Anaya Ojima there, reporting from the Coalition Center. We'll stay with him. We'll stay with him with those visuals, because that screen there is going to confirm for us who has won and who hasn't. So far, the certified results is from the coalition, the polling centers to the Coalition Center, is 68 out of 204 polling stations. Those have been certified already by the Electoral Commission. And the screens there, when Anaya Ojima was talking about the it's changing. It doesn't mean that the EC is changing the figures. What he's referring to is that on the screen, obviously the EC is tabulating, and they're scrolling the various polling stations as they come. And so, of course, his eyes are fixated on a particular polling center, and then that is scrolled up, and that's what he was referring to there. But we have 69 out of 204 polling stations in. We have a lot more to come before we can say for certainty, with some degree of certainty, who has won the elections tonight. You may already have heard here on your election headquarters from the MPP already declaring that, well, that they have won the elections. They believe that they've won it. And we heard from the national organizer of the MPP who spoke to us a short while ago, Nana B, telling us that they've done their own collation and they believe that they've won the elections. Parties do that. We want to hear from Idiomi's own people, too, on this particular matter, because they would have their own intelligence as far as the outcome of the poll is concerned. And once we do that, we'll bring that to you. But we picked up on the agent who's representing Idiomi at the Coalition Center.
Well, I mean, yes, Anaya Ojima indicates that Ofori-Atta is there representing Kwabena Osu-Adomi. It's talking about the NPP's national chairman, Stephen Team, also there. So, yeah, that's it.
I'm interested in knowing whether I know the NPP has...
No, but that's not it. I mean, the names mean nothing unless you put it in the context of...
Well, you want to say...
So you want to say, Evan?
I don't want to say.
So let me continue. So you asked me about the agents.
Yes.
Now, if you ask me the next question, so if you want me to analyze the agents, I would move...
Yeah, let's analyze the agents.
Exactly. So I'd move on and say that we know that Ofori-Atta is currently with the Movement for Change. Okay.
I mean, the Alliance for Revolutionary Change now.
Alliance for
Alan Chairman thing.
Change.
Yes.
For change, yes. And so, yes, and when the president was in Ejisu, he was, asking the question, is he Afafranto or is he... Chinye.
As in the umbrella.
The umbrella, as in NDC. So if Ofori-Atta is the one representing Kwabena Osu-Adomi, then you can reasonably infer that Kwabena Osu-Adomi associates or is linked to the Afafranto movement or the Alliance for Revolutionary Change.
Or may have personal relations with Ofori-Atta.
With Ofori-Atta.
But I think that's far-fetched. I think
the personal relations.
Personal relations, so he represents you. What a coincidence! And represents you at the coalition center.
I have a difficulty with the choice. Mm-hmm. And my difficulty, forgive me, is really about putting up your best foot forward. The MPP at this stage is putting up very...
The national chairman.
Yes. Ofori-Atta might have even contested election. But what it takes to actually identify the difficulties with a collation process, I am convinced he doesn't have that. And that's why I would have by now expected that Jomi would have had his own collation. Because I know for sure the NPP has a collation on the ground doing active work. That is why they can tell you boldly where they are heading. I know that they know the numbers. They have received from basically a chunk, almost 200 as I speak right now, of those polling stations, and they know where the election is heading. I'm not sure whether Jomi is, and by the choice of who's now there, is been Waters might believe in his potent system in ensuring that nothing goes wrong. For a team that had previously raised concerns, for a team that had said there were plots to rig the election, you should be prepared very well with a very wonderful team, proven track record of identifying whether or not collation, because that collation room, nobody can tell you lies about it. It takes extraordinary competence to determine whether or not the calculations are even going well. Maybe he's not the only person there. Maybe he's the known face that journalists can identify as people on the ground. But there are other people that have been part of this process and understand what collation really involves and can identify when something goes wrong at the collation center. Because what they are receiving is seeing pink sheets, seeing and verifying that to be the real pink sheet from the various police stations, the 204, and actually inputting the results. All of that requires that somebody who can indeed, and in fact, establish that there's nothing wrong on this sheet. This sheet reflects the numbers are right. The quotes on it, they are absolute. People on the ground can say this is the same results. That's very important that they are sending, so that there is no monkey business up in the collation room. Because if it goes up on the board, challenging it becomes a huge difficulty. Yeah. And I'm convinced Obsnael is not up to that task, really.
Well, another point, analyzing that is the Alan link there. Now, remember that we were analyzing the beginning and saying to ourselves, okay, who does he align with? Is it NDC or is it who? Well, the president that threw in the Alan factor. So we have Hobson. We know Hobson was Alan's agent in the MPP elections, the primary, wasn't he?
We saw him at the party headquarters.
At the party headquarters, yes. But he was there on behalf of Alan.
Yes.
And I remember MFR Powell speaking to him, and he was making some serious allegations, if anybody remember this. Yeah, I remember. And so from an Alan, close, and he's still an Alan person, to now becoming the guy you put at the collation center is the guy you trust the most.
Your most trusted ally.
Yeah, the most trusted ally. Considering that the MPP is putting their national chairman of all people there, and then you have Ofori-Atta, that tells you this tie between Edomi and Alan is far more than we had actually speculated about. So it's not crystallizing into something. Now, we know that Alan draws his base from the Ashanti region. If tonight Edomi loses, I now see him on December 7 on the ballot as London Independent. And he would possibly go in the name of Alan's political party. Now maybe it's too early to go because he's weighing his options, right? But the fact that he's played his hand now with Ofori-Atta tells us that he's aligned. And that Alan possibly now... Remember when Alan went? There were people who said there are individuals in the MPP.
Who might not have spoken out.
Yes.
Or come out to declare that.
Exactly.
But they are supporting him in ways that you may not know.
Absolutely. I remember doing it, and a party store told me that on PM Express. In fact, the Alan people themselves told me live on PM Express that, listen, we have many more folks in the polling station executives, national executive, MPs, whatever it is, who support us, but have not spoken yet. From what we are seeing now, Edomi is possibly one of them. And I say possibly. The evidence is now showing that he has obviously somebody in Alan's come there. And again, that's why what the votes he gets tonight will be important, right? If he goes in the 2024 December 7 elections and he goes on the ticket of the movement, who else is going to go with? But also, how much votes is going to pull from the party now that you have an NDC in the race?
I mean,
right? So then you're going to have this Alan person you do be taking votes from them. And of your people, and again, it's an interesting point, right? We're analyzing this. If he declares that he is with Alan, does that give him more votes? Because Alan obviously was an MPP guy, took out to the Ashanti region.
Not really. Not really. I don't have the evidence to suggest that by declaring that. In fact, I know that the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, particularly with the national interest movement, even in the 2020 election, the national interest movement was looking for funds and supporting independent candidates. What they sought to do was to support independent candidates that they believed could actually, make it, or even make a statement in the election. So, per that analogy, per that logic, I'm not surprised that you have the, Alliance for Revolutionary Change or the Movement for Change sending one of their members to go and support Eduomi. But I also do know that, in the build up to the elections, even if Eduomi had any links to the Alliance for Revolutionary Change or the Movement for Change, in his own interest, he didn't have to show it.
Now?
Yes, I mean, in the build up to the election.
Yes, yes.
In his own interest, he didn't have to show it. But the moment, and so maybe, I'm not on the ground, I don't know who his agents may have been, and whether his agents were persons associated with the Movement for Change or the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. But whatever it is, even if you want to go for somebody from that movement, I agree with Raymond. The person you want to push forward is not Ofori-Atta. I'm not sure that his appreciation of elections is like at that level that you want him to go and do that for you.
And then the flip side is the national chairman of the MPP being the coalition center monitor there. Again, tells you one thing, that the MPP is taking this absolutely seriously.
Of course they are.
They are not joking and playing at all with this. They've sent their big gun there to go and represent them. Even though they know that they've won, there's vigilance.
Yeah.
They claim they've won, there's still vigilance, right? We don't want to go to bed and sleep on this job. Now, as we talk about that, it's just struck 8 p.m. We had planned that by 8 p.m. we had anticipated that we'll know the results, right? But from where we are, we're so far away. We haven't even had half of the polling stations sending in their results yet to be certified by the EC at the collation center, which presumes that we possibly do at least an hour more before you know the results. At least an hour more, it could be more. But the beauty of this is that we're going to be staying with you because we need to get the outcome. This is election headquarters. We do not quit until we know the final results and brought you the reactions. We'll bring that to you here on your election headquarters. I'm going to take a break. When I return...
Before you take a break, on a lighter note, we're going to be here until at least 9...
9, yeah, of course, because the PM
then
Express.
we'll transit into PM Express with you.
Yeah. That's fair. But whatever it is, we are going to be live with you until the results are declared. Please stay with us. At one return, we're going to be going back to the collation center. We will be speaking to some of the key agents there for the party. The national chairman of the MPP himself is leading the charge there, those policing the collation of the final results. We've now seen a key member of the Alliance for Change, Alan's group, Alan's movement, representing Eduomi in that collation center. When we return, we'll get some reactions for you here on your election headquarters.
Please.